Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Present.
Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Talaferro.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Yeah.
All right, I have 8 present and 3 absent. Though one of those 3 is in the chamber here, and
There's two in the chamber. Dave.
so we can say 9 and 2.
We'll ask Commissioner Talaferro for the invocation and Commissioner Cawthorn for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ask everyone to please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, we love you. And because we love you so much, we are so thankful for the opportunity to come together as this governing body to do your will, to do the will of your constituents, our constituents. We ask your many blessings upon this nation, our state, our city, and our parish. Let us make the right decisions for the right reasons, for the right purpose, and that's to do the will of the citizens who elect us to this position. Let us be mindful of those less fortunate than ourselves. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's adhere to the proper protocols. Current and former military and the brow saluted, all of the former citizens, head of the chest. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Talaferro and Commissioner Cawthorn. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next item is agenda additions. I'm not aware of any.
I don't have any.
Okay. That'll take us to citizens' comments, where citizens are asked to fill out a comment card in the foyer or online prior to the meeting. I've not received any. Have you received any?
I don't have any.
Okay. Just checked one more time. I still don't see any, so we'll move along. That brings us to visitors, where we do have one scheduled visitor on the agenda today. Mr. Alan Clark and Adam Bailey from the MPC are scheduled to give us a presentation.
Mr. Clerk, do we have a topic for this?
I believe it is on the commission made an appropriation to improve the digital experience of applicants to the MPC.
Okay.
And I believe that's the subject matter here today.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Commission. So good to be here before you today in order to present to you the progress that we've made on the upgrading of the MPC webpage to make it much more user-friendly for citizens in the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish to make their utilization of this website much better, to serve them much more effectively. I brought the community planning staff with me. We were sort of under the impression we would do this on Thursday, but and one of my members from the community planning staff is out today, but we will be able to present this to you. So I'm going to ask them to come up and present this information to you. Adam Bailey is the director of the staff, and Emily Trent is a planner one in community development.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, President Johnson, members of the commission. This presentation is going to be twofold. The first bit is going to take you back in time over the past 12 months.
Hey, Adam?
Yes.
Excuse me, a point of clarification. Chairman, it's on the agenda to vote for us to have it on Thursday.
Well,
So
actually, so I thought that you wanted them to be a visitor today. The other option would have been to add it as an item that could have been advanced to Thursday's agenda. But my understanding was that you wanted it just added today, so I apologize if I misunderstood that.
It's well, someone was on vacation.
Yeah.
That's what the issue was. Okay. We'll go ahead and do it. Okay.
I mean, I was back by the time you requested that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. You good?
Go ahead, Adam.
Go ahead.
All right, so I'll spend 2 or 3 minutes giving you a quick presentation on, like I said, the past 12 months, and then I'll pass over to Emily here. We'll actually, jump in live to actually what the website actually looks like. I'm calling it the Improving the MPC Customer Experience. As Mr. Clark alluded to, $25,000 were appropriated by the commission last year. I think that was championed by Commissioner Chavez. The intent was to develop a mobile-first experience, to create an online atmosphere where citizens can safely engage and communicate digitally with NPC staff. It's not like they can't currently do that. We just wanted to improve upon it. And by doing that, we wanted to rebrand the NPC image to provide a dynamic, interactive, and visually compelling website in order to do that. So we sent out some RFPs. We looked at firms locally, and we also looked at them nationally. And we chose a firm as a national firm called Granicus. Looked at a lot of different cities in which of websites that they have created. They're pretty big. They were founded in 1999. They're in 40 of the 50 most populous U.S. Cities, and they have over 4,000 government clients, all the way from small municipal, county and parish, state, all the way up to the federal level. So once we were able to sign the contract with them, we created a wish list. As I said earlier, we wanted to create a citizen-focused approach and ask the questions, how does our current website engage with citizens? We wanted it to be a progressive mobile web design, which means that currently right now, if you were to go to our website on a mobile device, it would look exactly like our website. We didn't want to necessarily recreate that. If you're on a tablet or on a smartphone, it should recognize that to make the user experience a lot more, I don't want to call it enjoyable, but user-friendly. And also have some ongoing support and continuous improvement, meaning that as technology changes, we wanted to update our website accordingly. So how were we going to do that? We're going to update our website, our homepage specifically to attract business and provide better information. We're going to create quick links. This is an example of Greensboro, North Carolina, to where there's always interactive links at the bottom that can tell a story in itself on how to direct people throughout the site. One of the things that Emily will show you will be a service finder, or how do I, where someone will be able to click on a link and say, hey, I want to apply for an application. What kind of application? You'll be able to choose a pull-down menu. It'll take you directly with what you need to do. Click learn more, and it'll give you the step-by-step process, because it's going to bring you to a page that tells you everything that you need to do, whether it be online, whether you fill out a hard copy. If you need to talk to someone, it'll give you a phone number, or if you want to come in person, it'll tell you how to, whether it be set up an appointment or just come straight down to the office. It'll give you some GIS features. This is really important, and I think you'll really understand it better when Emily shows it to you. But you can put in an address. It can be your personal home address. It could be your business address, or let's say it's someone from out of state who is looking to buy property and come and do some investment here. You can put that property address in, and it's going to give you a lot of information. It's going to tell you who the commissioner is, who the city council member is. It's going to tell you all the elected officials, what it's properly zoned. It's going to give you links to the use matrix and the UDC to tell you what you can and can't do with that property. I've already talked about this being mobile first. It will adapt to any type of device that you're using, and it'll also be ADA compliant. A little bit of the timeline. I think y'all appropriated those funds in September of last year. By the time we got the contract signed with Granicus, that was already December of 2020. We jumped into the project the beginning of January, and it took them 7 to 8 months to actually build it. They gave us the keys, the kingdom, if you want to call it, in August. And so the past 2 months, we've been plugging in the information, making sure that it's right. Our launch date is October 26th, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be final then. There's going to be a couple more phases that we're going to roll out, but starting on October 26th, you'll be able to see what Emily's about to show you. So with that, I'll pass it over to Emily Tramp.
So Adam did a pretty great presentation on what we've been working on so far. So this is the website currently. Just a few features that we want to point out based on his presentation are these quick links and these really easy to navigate features. So on the home page, we've got this I am looking for search engine. So let's say you're wanting to apply for a food truck. You can simply enter in food truck on this, and then it'll take you to a search engine page, which includes the application. It might have a PDF of the application as well. We also have this how do I feature that he mentioned. I'm going to go into that after I cover the rest of the home page, because then from there I'm going to show you how to apply for an application. So scrolling down, we have those home page buttons. These can be used for various things. If it's something as far as neighborhood participation plan meetings, or if applicants want to quickly be able to see what the agenda is for MPC or ZBA meetings, they can find that here. These are not set links, so we can change these as needed. If there's any new legislation we want to highlight here, we can do that. This is going to change. There are squares right now. We would prefer them to be like what Greensboro, North Carolina has, and I can show you that. So Greensboro, North Carolina, they've got this home tab that scrolls as you scroll through the page, or excuse me, it stays as you scroll through the page. And you can also get rid of it and then open it back up if you need to. So that's what we would like ours to look like. Fortunately, that's probably not going to be something that we can get by next Tuesday, which is when our website launches, but Granicus, our website host, will be able to provide that for us, as this is a Granicus website as well. So back to our page. We've got the events, news, and spotlight tab, or excuse me, a portion of our website. So any of our upcoming meetings we can feature here. Any of the neighborhood participation plan meetings can be featured here. And under news and spotlight, we can put either upcoming or initiated legislation. And then last spot on the homepage that I want to show you before I move back up to the top is this property address lookup. So if there's a new developer that's coming into town and they want to know what the zoning is of their property that they're interested in, or just someone who wants to know what their zoning designation is, they can look it up here. So let me look up 6363 Yorrie Drive, and I've opened it up in another tab just in case I needed to. So you can see here it shows the current zoning designation, the former zoning designation. It's got the, if it's in the city limits, if it's not, it'll indicate that. And then who the mayor is, Mayor Perkins. It's got his contact information. It'll also include the council and the commissioner district information and contact information. We're also going to include, and this is something that's going to probably come in a later phase. I'm not sure that it's going to be done before our launch next week. But under here, we're going to have a tab that will show users our zoning map link, so they can go there and they can enter their information in and see an entire zoning map as well. That one takes a little bit more navigating, so this is just a quick, easy way to show your zoning designation. Going back up, we'll go to the How Do I tab. So the How Do I is going to have several different features. Right now we just have the How Do I apply for an application, or How Do I report a violation. We can do several different things with this too. So we're thinking, how do I contact the MPC, or how do I find issued site plans that have not been approved yet, which is good for our business community. So we'll go to how do I apply for a business-based certificate of home-based certificate of occupancy. So we use My Government Online. It's our online application system, and a lot of our developers, they use it all the time. It's easy for them to use, but anyone who's never done it before, they might not understand how to use it. So we have customer portal guides as well as application submittal guides. They can select those here. We didn't want to include all those steps right on that homepage for those that already know what they're doing. They don't want to have to read through all of that content. It also includes the next steps of what they're waiting for after they've submitted their application, so they have an idea of what to expect. And on our related tabs over here, it's got everything that might be related to that application type, including the parish fees and the city fees, depending on what jurisdiction it's in. So for the home-based business certificate of occupancy, let's say for the Caddo Parish, they would need a Caddo Parish business license. So we do have a link that'll direct them to that website as well. They don't have to navigate that on their own. I just want to show you one more option. So if you are applying for rezoning, again, much of the same information, the next steps that the applicant can expect before their application is approved. It's got phone numbers. Once a rezoning application is out of the MPC office, might come to the Parish Commission, and we've got contact information so that users can easily know who they need to contact afterwards. A lot of our applications have checklists. So we have an application checklist sidebar here. This can let users know what they need to do to submit their application and be more prepared. And then we have printer-friendly checklists as well here. So those are the main features that we wanted to show with our website today. As Adam said, there's going to be future phases that we can incorporate some more documents or more information. I'd be happy to show you some other things on the website while I'm here. If you have questions, I'd like to defer to Adam or Mr. Clark.
Okay, you got some commissioners that want to say something. I was going to ask a couple questions. I noticed you put the address in, it put the current zone and the zone that it was in the past. Is that also a hyperlink that they can click on that and it tells them what the zone is?
Right, they'll be able to click on it and it will give a little brief information of saying, hey, this is, you know, if it's C2, it's, you know, general commercial.
Right, 'cause I saw it had C2, but
Yes.
they wouldn't know what C2 was.
Well, right, but there'll also be a link that it can hyperlink either off on the side or over to the left, maybe underneath the address, that it will take them to the UDC itself. And, you know, we might be able to hyperlink directly to Article 4, which deals with zoning. So they'll be able to scroll down to say, oh, C2, this is what I can do with that. It'll also be the use matrix. So they'll be able to look specifically what they'll be able to do in the C2 zoning district.
Okay, then a second question is, how much did this streamline the process?
Well, we won't 100% know that until it actually, you know, the dates will still be the same. It'll just be more we're providing better information beforehand as opposed to a convoluted website that, you know, we weren't able to fully, I wouldn't engage as much with the, let me rephrase that, the potential applicant typically found it hard to find the information they were looking for unless they were a repeat customer. You know, after a while they're like, okay, I know to go here, I know to go here. The idea is that the information will be more upfront in front of them. They'll kind of understand, oh, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I won't have to, you know, call to figure out where on the website I need to go to. I can go to the search engine just like a Google search engine and put in rezoning application. It'll pull up just like Google would, but within our site, and it'll take you to the application page right there that'll say, all right, what do I need to do if I'm going to do it online? Who do I need to call? Oh, I see that I need to develop a pre-application meeting. I will have to go in for that. I'll have to schedule to get on that agenda. It'll give you those step-by-step processes.
Okay.
More better, at least, than we think that it is currently right now.
All right, Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Many times we have a lot of tools like this, but the public is not really aware how we, and maybe this is a question for Alan, how are we going to disseminate that information to the public or either educate the public on what we have here?
As you will know, we have made a special effort to truly educate the public, to share with them exactly the new inventions that we're having. We educate the public through neighborhood participation plan meetings. We educate the public through neighborhood meetings. We have a community plan concept where we are organizing all of the neighborhoods. We have 90-plus neighborhoods in the city of Shreveport, and we will incorporate that, if necessary, to the neighborhood associations and so forth in the parish of Caddo, where we will go out and provide all of this information to them and give them training on exactly how the web page operates and make it much more familiar for them.
And did I understand you say that we have 90-something communities that you've identified? Do all of them have
Inside the city of
organizations?
Shreveport.
Do they all have organizations, or how do you?
They have somewhat organizations. They're a little unconnected, but we are working with them to help them get better organized. We're working with them to establish 501c3 status so that they are eligible for tax-exempt services through the Internal Revenue to apply for grants and so forth. And we're just we're assessing these neighborhoods now as far as infrastructure and what's actually the assets that are there, what's needed in these neighborhoods, and making recommendations to the appropriate governmental agencies to assist them in getting those things that are desperately needed.
And that's going to the MPC?
That's happening right now.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot different than what it used to be.
We had to step up our game.
Okay, great job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Burrell brings up a couple good points. Director Clark, perhaps you guys can rent the website space, startabiz in Shreveport.com or openabiz in Shreveport.com. I see they're both available. For $7 a month, you guys can host that, and it could redirect to the MPC site. Because that's one of the chief complaints is always when people say, where where do we go to get this done? You guys are creating a roadmap, which is awesome, because I know if you caught out in the MPC, if it was 4 years ago, and they would direct you to go to that MyGov online, that would be the point when most business owners or hopeful business owners would hang up the phone and say, screw this, I'm just going to come down there, which of course would then tie up your staff. So the fact that they can go to one location on one online website and get literally a roadmap and a step-by-step checklist, just like the other big cities, which is what we're striving for, and you guys look like you have achieved. My hat's off to you guys, so thanks for doing that. And I think on President's comment, I agree. The public does need a legend, because I know when I first got elected, I had no idea what RA was, what rule, what none of that stuff was. So they do need a roadmap in regards to any acronyms that a civilian may look at the site and see. But other than that, the way that you can just put in your address and figure out who you have to call from them. I know I may be speaking for some of my colleagues when they say we get calls, or I know I'm speaking for myself. 9 times out of 10 of the calls that I get are not for things of the parish commission. They're usually things of the city or the police department. And then I spend a lot of my time directing citizens to other entities where I think if they can go to one place and actually get who they need for what, this is going to be amazing. So thank your team for doing this, Director Clark.
And if I may, throughout the process, we have included the Caddo Parish Commission so that we educate, when we're educating neighborhoods, we invite the Caddo Parish Commissioner and the City Councilman so that they can work with us in the providing of additional knowledge to the citizens in those particular areas. And with the history that I have with the MPC, I understand some of the problems that citizens are confronted with, trying to understand and trying to navigate through the process of what zoning is, what a special use permit is, what site plans, et cetera, are. So beside having the technological information, I've been very sensitive that everybody's not technologically savvy, and we still will need to be able to have a process where if somebody's totally confused, they can call and talk to a planner. That's why we worked extremely hard to get a full staff of planners where they can call and a planner can walk them step by step through the process. And if that doesn't work, they can come down to Government Plaza and that planner will work with them step by step. And it's the same thing in the permit center. With the permit center, we add an additional permit clerk so that at any time someone is confused or needing additional information about applying for anything, we have staff available to take care of their needs and answer all of their questions. So we can do it either technological or we can do it face-to-face.
I think that search engine is the biggest thing.
And you provide us with a whole lot of information, and we thoroughly appreciate it, and everything you share with us, we delve into it and make sure that we add that to what we're doing.
You guys did a great job. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Clark, and a couple of things. So when we absolutely can't find anything, I see there's phone numbers, embedded within the program. Do we have a help desk, or who would handle any kind of, like you said, their customer service issues? I just cannot find what I'm looking for. Maybe I'm not searching it right. Do we have a help desk number that is predominant, that people can, hit the big red button and say, I need help, walk me through this?
And that's something that I was very sensitive about, as I shared with you earlier. Sometimes we get so advanced and so
Sure.
technologically savvy until we don't worry about those citizens that go on the web page, because I've had that experience myself, going on a web page and wanting to talk to a human being. And so we will have those humans available, and there will be a number that they can dial to get a live person that will provide live information to them.
And also, I think somebody brought this up as far as you have some changes that need to be made prior to the launch date. The question is, how much longer would you need to implement those changes, or can we extend the launch date, or would you rather make the changes after the launch date, or would it be beneficial to, choose another launch date and get everything tightened up?
The staff has convinced me that we should do the lunch date on October 26th, and then after that, continue to improve upon the process. So I'm backing down and getting out of the way to allow them to use October 26th as the lunch date.
And also, I want to commend Commissioner Chavez for bringing up the redirect. That's a great idea. I think we all, look for those redirects. So implementing that would be great. And one final thing, I always like customer service feedback, and I think this website would be no different. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see it. But I would like to say, how are we doing? Did you find this website helpful? What would be your suggestions and so forth?
And when I became the executive director, that was one of the things that concerned me, that we never knew how we were doing. We heard that we weren't doing well, but we never really knew how we were doing. And I wanted, so we started having those surveys at the end of everything we do, phone calls, emails, our website, to just ask that question. How are we doing? What was the experience like dealing with the MPC? How could we improve the service that we're providing? So I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I immediately implemented that once I became the executive director.
And it's great to it's great to see a return of investment for. I think it's money well spent. Thank you again, and we appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Mr.
sir.
President, thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
Mr. Clark,
Yes, sir.
a whole lot of questions and suggestions for an entity I don't think we'll be involved with much longer.
Were you asking me a question? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you, Commissioner.
Seems like a
Jackson.
whole lot of questions and suggestions for an entity that we may not be involved with for a whole much longer. Would you, or
The MPC.
will we have access to this?
And that will be a decision that you all will make, not us. We are still connected to the Caddo Parish for the next 2 months, and we will provide the best service possible for our Caddo Parish. If something happens after that, that would be extremely great, but if not, we have no other alternative but to restrict our services to the city of Shreveport.
Okay. I think there's been mention about the acronym C2 and all those. Maybe if y'all want to hyperlink those,
Okay,
if you'll take those into considerations over the next 2 months,
okay.
or 14 months. I think we're gonna try to do something. I don't know, but I looked here where you saw historic district. That was one that jumped out at me. What if it's not necessarily in a because I think we only really have one or maybe 2 historic districts.
There, and Adam is much more knowledgeable of that than I am, but there are, historical structures, there
Right. So I was saying.
H-pods, there.
So is that?
Yeah.
So if it's not in a historic district, but it's a historic site, will that take into
It will do that,
consideration?
yeah.
It'll.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, Adam.
It'll still apply.
Okay. I think it's good. Is this the only thing that'll come up in that area, or will any permits or anything like that come up, or is this the only page that will populate?
That'll be the only
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. How would they know if like any permits?
We would have to, that would be one of the things that we could potentially look at.
I guess my question is it built out to do that, or is it just kind of this is what y'all wanted to do here?
Right now it is.
What we may have to do is, once we get and we talked to Commissioner Chavez about this, once we get the site online and live, there may be additional services that may be felt that are necessary. That's why we're here today, and we're going to go before the City Council and the MPC Board. We don't feel like we have all the answers, that we don't have all of the information that we need right now. That's why we do collaboration and solicit input from these type bodies. And so if we need to go back and add additional resources to the website to make it more user-friendly for citizens, that's what we will hope to do.
Mm-hmm. And that jurisdiction question can be quite a bit of a trick bag.
Yeah.
as you know.
And that's something that you've been sensitive to, that I never forgot, that
Right.
we need to be able to sure tell people what the jurisdiction is, whether it's in the city or whether it's in the parish.
Right. And
That's
people
why-
usually don't even try to make the distinction. Most folks that I represent don't even care.
Yes, sir.
They know that every 4 years, somebody's knocking on that door, asking for their support, and they're not standing at the door trying to say whose street is what.
You're absolutely right.
They don't care. But I think it's a good start, and I will be watching to see.
We're going
how
to
it-
continue to build, because that's how you make great cities. That's how you make great parishes. That's how you make great states, is that you continue to evaluate, you continue to collaborate with the citizens and get input from everybody and use that input and not think that you are one that knows it all. You just take that additional knowledge and information and put it into what you're trying to accomplish.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, I think that Commissioner Jackson covered mine, because my concern was about the separation that we're supposed to be going through, and whether or not we're going to have to incur additional costs for another IT group to handle things of that nature. So I think you said that y'all are going to make that decision, so be it. Thank you.
We gotta make that.
We're gonna make.
Oh, we will make that decision.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you ever so much. We were so happy to be able to come before you, and if you have future questions, we are more than happy to come back and answer them for you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to old business. There's no old business on the agenda today, so we'll move forward to new business, where our first item is authorizing the introduction of ordinance number 6117 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the Caddo Parish personnel policy to require that all parish employees hired, appointed, or promoted to parish attorney, assistant parish administrator, CEO, department director, or commission clerk must be residents of Caddo Parish, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Been moved by Commissioner Burrell, seconded by the chair to advance this to our regular session. Commissioner Burrell, you want to speak to that motion?
No, I think we've talked about this. We experienced this somewhat, I experienced it a number of years ago when I was on the city council, almost 15 years. And, there were pros and cons, true enough. But I believe with our population in need of jobs and training for leadership, I think our top brass should come from the parish. If you want to lead in this parish, then I think you should live in this parish. And I think it worked pretty well from the city standpoint, and I'm sure it will for the parish. Thank you.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm the chairman of the personnel policies, and I was one of the dissenters on this. I still do not believe and don't support making our department heads have to live in Caddo. It's nice, but I understand the parish commissioner and the commission clerk, because they work for this body. We appoint them. But the administrator should have the latitude to hire the best he can get, not just because they live here, but the best. And sometimes we end up with people that they would love to come, but they are in a good school system or they are in a good deal, and we're going to cut them out. And I just think, in my past experiences dealing with chief of police and changing and getting the best instead of the most popular, going from an elected to an appointed, that's what we all should be doing, is getting the best, whether it comes from Bossier Parish, DeSoto Parish, or Harris County. Let's get the best. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand the logic behind this ordinance, proposed ordinance. Could I share Commissioner Hopkins' views with respect to recruiting and retaining talent. And we're talking about people that may have worked for the commission for 20 years who are being considered for promotion. And we might say that they wouldn't be eligible because they don't live in Caddo, or we might be forcing them to change their whole family situation to sell their house outside of the parish and move into the parish. And I think that's just a bit much. I think that there's lots of ways to add value within the parish. You can add value by living in the parish and paying taxes, but you can also add value to the parish by providing good services and skills to the parish while living somewhere else. So I think it's a bit harsh to require a department director to live in the parish. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also have to agree with the sentiments of the past two commissioners who just spoke about this ordinance. I would also like to ask Dr. Wilson, what is the ratio of the employees that are currently employed who reside in Caddo Parish?
Majority of them live in Caddo Parish.
The majority does?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that this is advantageous for new employees, but to require existing employees to make a radical change at this time is something that I do not think that I want to support. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
I thought when we voted on this, we grandfathered some people in. Was that not?
I did too.
I thought the existing folks
They were.
would be current folks. I don't see that reflected here.
It's not.
Maybe we should.
Current department heads, if they did not stay in Caddo Parish, were supposed to be grandfathered in.
I thought, so is that not I don't see it reflected in the order.
I thought it was.
And does it need, if so, does it just need to be amended in, or, but I was looking for that. And then I thought we had a discussion about defining residency. Did we not have, I thought we were supposed to define what residence, the difference between residence, what we gonna require, residence or domicile or both, or something like that. So my statement here now is not so much on the substance. I'm just trying to make sure that what we have in front of us is reflective of what was voted out of the committee. And so trying to figure that out.
Attorney Frazier, will you answer that, or can you answer that?
It's my understanding, and if we have some employees that are in these positions that are not Caddo Parish citizens, we would need to amend it, but it's my understanding we don't have any employees currently that are not living in Caddo Parish, and so that this will actually only apply prospectively. And as far as the residents, there was a discussion, but there was no vote out of committee, and the ordinance, as it previously stated, which is what you were amending, stated that the requirement of what would be residency would be defined and put into the personnel policy by HR. So if the committee wants to do something different than that, then we need a vote out of committee or an amendment from the floor to put something in here. Otherwise, it will be defined by HR and placed in the policy.
So y'all are sure that there are whoever is affected by this now, all are living in Caddo Parish? Is that your understanding?
No, sir.
That's not true. Okay, I'm
Well,
way back.
If I can clarify my point on this one, the current directors, we have a couple of not in the parish of Caddo.
Okay.
Most of them are. Mike?
And so if this was adopted, they wouldn't be covered under this. I thought it was if new people became directors.
It doesn't. I'm thinking that this is new employees being coming on board, being promoted to the director position. Because we have a director now that does not live in Parish of Caddo.
And so
but
they wouldn't necessarily be forced to go move into Caddo Parish if this was adopted.
I hope that this
That's
is
why
not,
I thought we added
right.
the grandfathered language in.
It should be grandfathered in. And then also I have another comment I'd like to make later in reference to this legislation as well. I don't want to dominate your time, but I want to speak on it as well.
So it is your understanding that we might need to grandfather
If we
those
have someone that doesn't live in Caddo, we would need
to grandfather.
You wouldn't do what, Don?
we would need
We would
to.
need to
Yes,
add
well,
that.
we currently have that situation, sir.
Okay, all right. That's it for me for right now.
I'd like to make the substitute motion to add that factor that if the current people in these positions do not stay in Caddo Parish, that they will be grandfathered. And this will be effective to new employees.
We don't have any.
It's been moved by the,
We don't have.
it's been moved by the chair and seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yes.
All right. What I wanted to say was that I agreed that we should have those directors that stay in Caddo Parish. Kind of surprised to hear that, you know, because of other schools and they might want to stay in another parish, when we have some of the top schools in Caddo Parish in the state, and they are magnet schools. I believe that if you're gonna lead the department and lead Caddo Parish, those people need to be in Caddo Parish to pay property taxes. I mean, we collect property taxes. They should be also paying property taxes in Caddo Parish with those top salaries. You know, years back, there was a big deal to push the administrator to move to Caddo Parish. So, you know, there wasn't too much of a, well, we don't think that the administrator should move to Caddo Parish. It was basically he needs to move to Caddo Parish. And his reports should be in Caddo Parish. His direct reports should be in Caddo Parish. You know, to me, it sends a bad signal that I work for Caddo Parish Commission, but I stay in DeSoto Parish, but I'm a department head. You know, they should be in Caddo Parish. I mean, that's where they make their living. They should want to raise their family in the parish in which they live in, or they should work for DeSoto Parish and not Caddo Parish. Not trying to be hard on it, but it's just the fact that if I hear all the time using taxpayers' dollars wisely, well, that is using it wisely because that person is in Caddo Parish, that person gonna pay taxes. You know, we got to keep that dollar rotating within the parish because once it leave out of the parish, it's gone. It's not coming back in. And, you know, if we're trying to move forward, you got to keep that dollar rotating within these boundaries of Caddo Parish instead of other parishes. Commissioner Carter.
Yeah, thanks. I think my initial question was the grandfather piece, and it looks like we got clarification on that, but I'd like to echo the sentiments of Commissioner Johnson. What I personally believe that if you're good enough to earn a salary from Caddo Parish, you're good enough to live in Caddo Parish. I don't believe that we need to be hiring people and they rooting for other teams. If you're suiting up in red and white, you need to be living in the district that represents the city, the parish that represents red and white. Secondly to that, oftentimes when we go out of state to recruit someone, well, they don't know anything about any other parishes before they get here. So why couldn't we sell them on living in Caddo Parish? It's a broad parish with a lot of amenities that one can be attracted to. Like Commissioner Johnson said, we've got top schools that are top in this state. So I think if we're going to be paying you top dollar, I think you need to be rooting on the team for Caddo Parish. Thank you.
Commissioner, well, Attorney Fraser, you still on the board? Dr. Wilson, you had something else?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak on this issue. I think I have some personal history on this one, but let me say this. I love the parish of Caddo. Love working for the parish of Caddo. Most of my family members in the parish of Caddo. And my concern is I'm nearing the end of my tenure as the administrator because one day I don't work forever. So I see myself near the end of my career as opposed to the beginning of it. But what I do want to caution you all on that we spend a lot of money on our employees. We have a continuous educational program. We help pay for their degrees. And I've seen employees here in my tenure went from not having a degree to having all the way up to doctorate degrees. And majority of that money has been Caddo Parish invested and their education as part of our succession training program. So we are developing people. They come here and spend 15 or 20 years. They're in line to move up for a position, and we say, no, you can't because you don't live here. But they've been here 20 years working for the parish. We invested in their education. It just seemed that we were shooting ourselves in the foot because just 2 weeks ago, you had the Bossier Parish administrator came here to talk to us, Mr. Butch Ford. He lives in 12 Oaks, and he's the new administrator for Bossier Parish. You have the Bossier Parish administrator for the Soda Parish administrator, Mr. Steve Brown, lives in Caddo Parish. So I don't want us to get into a mindset that our dwellings determine our investment. That people come here and they're loyal to the organization. They stay here forever and don't leave, and they grow and experience promotion opportunities in our parish. So, but to say the only sole factor is where you live, no one else is doing that I know of. Now, I might tend to be corrected, but if I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I know it's a bigger area. If I live in the D.C. Metroplex area, they don't care where you live at. All the places I've served on active duty, they didn't care where I live at, as long as I get to work on time. And I know everybody got certain feelings on this matter, and I respect everybody's opinion on this. But I just want to offer you my opinion on this because right now, take for example the city of Shreveport, they have 100 officers short. You think they care where they get those officers from? They're 100. Sheriff Prater needs about 30 or 40 deputies. At one time, you couldn't live outside this parish and be a sheriff deputy in this parish. But that had to change because you had to go and find equality where it existed, not where it lived. So I just want to offer you those opinions for what it's worth, and I respect everybody's opinion around the table. And thank you.
Commissioner Evers.
I pass.
Let's see, Commissioner Burrell.
I was asking the question again. You said must be a resident of Caddo Parish. Does it have? Does that correlate to you having being domiciled here, or those are two different things?
They actually live here in the parish of Caddo. I don't see what's the difference between the domicile and where you
Well,
live.
the state law has a definition for domicile.
That's elected officials.
And I was wondering if that's the same as the language here.
Commissioner, the current language says that that definition will be provided by HR and put in the policy so that persons wanting to promote to these decisions will be on notice. If the committee wants to provide a certain definition, we need a vote out of committee or a motion from the floor to amend the ordinance to include it.
So the question that I asked, does resident mean domiciled in Caddo Parish? You're saying that the Human Resource Department will make that definition? I
Yes,
just asked the question.
currently the only requirement is that persons, if a person has maintained a residence here, if they are registered to vote here, they are considered to be a resident of the parish.
Well, that's pretty much.
That's kind of been the unwritten rule. There is supposed to be a written rule, however, that will be provided by HR unless you all decide otherwise.
Well, that is basically the definition I know that the state has for domicile, so that's fine with me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes. Dr. Wilson, I get you. I get what you're saying, and I respect the thought that we want the best. But as I heard you say that we're investing, sounds like we're investing a lot of money in our employees.
Yes, sir, we are.
Already.
Yes, sir, we are.
And I think that on top of good salary plus benefits, that individuals should want to live in Caddo Parish. I don't know that I would value something the same if I didn't lay my head there. And so I don't see this anything as punitive. I think this is a pro-Caddo policy. This is encouraging individuals to come be Caddo. I saw for a while Sarah Hebert with Williams Creative created this promotion for Bossier about Bossier. And I'm not saying Bossier is our competition. I'm torn as to why someone who makes their money and makes their living and their livelihood in Caddo Parish wouldn't want to live in Caddo Parish. One of the things that I noticed, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but if you drive down by Jimmy Davis Bridge at 4:30, 5 o'clock, there's a line getting over the Jimmy Davis Bridge, and you can come clean on across, heading into Shreveport, no traffic stops or nothing. If you are headed to eastbound, if you're headed eastbound on 20, there's a traffic jam on I-20. But if you're headed west, you fly straight on through. Those are people who are leaving. Same thing on 220. I noticed it on 220. There's a traffic jam on 220 leaving Shreveport. There's never a traffic jam coming back in. And so I think that this is just a pro-Caddo policy. I hope we would at least introduce this and continue to have more conversation with administration, not so much in a punitive manner for individuals who may be promoted, but how can we use this to basically promote and encourage the growth of Caddo Parish? We're the only parish in North Louisiana that had population loss.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm too enthused about encouraging people, incentivizing people to live elsewhere. So I think I don't see it as anything punitive.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a more pro Caddo. Yeah. But it just depends on how you look at it. You can look at it as being punitive and punishing someone as they're trying to be promoted through the ranks. But you can also look at this as this is a good place to stay. Yeah. And so I'd hope that's where this policy will find itself. So
could I answer your question, sir?
Which question?
I mean, you're making a statement that
you said I made a statement, not asked a question.
Pardon me?
You said I made a statement, not asked a question.
Okay,
which question?
I just want to say that we have 8 department directors, and we only have 1 live outside the parish.
Right. But you also said that some people will be retiring and people will be.
Yes, sir.
So,
That's correct.
This basically looks forward and not now.
That's correct. And we try to promote from within.
Right.
So I would hate to penalize somebody for whatever reason they decide they land where they are, to hold that against them and whether or not they move up or not.
But how does Caddo benefit from
the years of loyal service and commitment to the organization and foregoing opportunities elsewhere? Because we got a lot of our staff members get resume requests all the time, but they choose to stay here and not move.
I don't know. I think I just beg to differ, but we can agree to disagree on it. Thank you.
I'm just.
I'm good.
Yes, I just want to say I agree with Dr. Wilson. Why would you limit yourself in your pool of applicants just because they don't live here? I mean, it doesn't make no sense. If they're the best for the job, they're the best for the job wherever they live. So I'm going to be voting against this. Thank you.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes, I just want to clarify one thing. Administrator Wilson makes a good point in the people that we've invested in over the last 20 years or so. They didn't have a degree, now they got a PhD or what have you. But can we modify language that anybody employed with us as of this date to be grandfathered in? And so that will allow us not to look over those people that Caddo Parish has invested in over the last 20 years or so, that are current employees, to not to be selected in this program.
Commissioner Carter, I think that'd be better palatable for everyone. And if it's the will of this board to in the future when we hiring people, we need to put that up front. That listen, if you aspire to move up in this organization, you're going to have to live in this parish as a condition of employment. At least they'll know it far enough in advance they can make that decision whether they stay here for 15 years or 20 years.
But what I'm suggesting that the people that are currently here,
yes, sir, I agree with that, sir.
That we make
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
For them.
I agree
going
with that.
forward, then walking through the door, then they know that. I also want to add that you made the analysis about what they don't do in Dallas. But the same thing that we're doing is required in other southern cities. So you take New Orleans, you take Birmingham, you take Jackson, you take places like that where the population has gotten stagnant. They're trying to hold on to as much population as possible, and they're requiring department heads to move into the parish and the domicile they're at. Where if you take a city like Dallas, people that live in the Dallas metropolitan area may work in the city of Dallas, but they live in Arlington, they live in Casa Mills.
Yes, sir.
That's a way of life.
Yes, sir.
In larger cities like that. What we're saying is we need people suiting up for Caddo Parish, living here, paying taxes, being a part of the citizenry in our local community. And this does not eliminate someone. If we wanted to bring somebody from Dallas that's got all of the skills,
Yes, sir.
the accoutrements that we want in a director,
Yes, sir.
then that nothing, when we bring him to Caddo Parish to work for us, that nothing precludes him for us getting a realtor finding he or she a house in Caddo Parish.
We have done that repeatedly. Commissioner Cawthorn.
So that, and I get it. I'm just saying that's my point. I don't think that limits our talent pool. All we're saying is when you come here, we're gonna find you a house in Caddo Parish.
Yes, sir. I agree with that, and I support the administrator and the attorney and the clerks all living in the parish. I support that, but I just didn't want to limit any future growth of our employees that's been faithful to our organization, whoever that may be.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Commissioner Carter, you got bumped off earlier, and I wrote your name down, so go ahead.
You mean Chavez?
I just spoke.
Chavez.
Oh.
Thank you, President. Commissioners, I know from a political standpoint, we want to think of things like our representative districts and that we should live in our districts. But from an organizational standpoint, we are ultimately glorified board members. And if we look at Caddo Parish as an organization, and our job is the betterment of the organization, like in a company, when it boils down to it, I think we need the best employees. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to come from Caddo Parish. I personally don't know where half of my employees come from unless I pulled out their employment worksheet and looked at their address. But I try to hire the best employees for my personal company, and that's the way that I think we should take this stance on, that we're hiring the absolute best employees for Caddo Parish, the organization that we sit on the board and oversee. And I know from a standpoint of looking at, yes, we want Caddo Parish to succeed. This is our home. We're proud of our home. We want everybody else to be proud of our home. But I think first and foremost, we need to run the organization the best way we can, and by doing that is getting the best people for this organization. So I think we're wasting a lot of time with this, and if we get the right people for the job, our organization is going to be the best, and they are going to want to live in Caddo Parish because they like the parish that we live in. So I feel like we're wasting a lot of time on this, and I'll be voting no on dictating that our employees are forced to live here, but rather thank you, Dr. Wilson, for investing in our current employees, and I hope that they in turn push that to other people to say, I want to jump on board to come work for Caddo Parish, because that's an amazing organization, and I think by that it will fuel the betterment of our parish in a whole. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Atkins, he was on the board.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I understand the logic behind and the sentiment behind this proposal. I understand supporting the home team and all that. But to Commissioner Chavez's point, ultimately we're a business. And there's a war for talent across the business community globally. And the top performing companies tend to be less restrictive on where their employees can and do live, not more restrictive. So I think that we'd be going backwards by putting more restrictions on our employees. We don't know what kind of challenges or what the situation may be for any given employee that may force them or lead to them living in another location. They may have a spouse that works for a company that's outside of the parish, and they don't want their spouse drive. They would rather do the longer drive and not expose their spouse to the longer drive. They may have elderly parents that live in another location. They need to be closer to those elderly parents to help care for them. or they may be maintaining family property that was, in their family for 100 years, and it may be outside of Caddo Parish, and maybe they have a home on that property. So we don't know what specific issues may be affecting individual employees. And as long as they're doing a good job for us and they're earning their pay and adding value to the parish in that regard, I don't see the need to put additional restrictions on them. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins, we are not a business. We are a government agency. 95% of the money that's gone to Caddo Parish is gone to taxpayers' money.
Well, I
We
will
are not a for-profit entity. We like to think the notion that we are, but we're not.
I'll
So I just want to
honor
clarify
the
that.
protocol of the horseshoe.
Okay.
Commissioner Gage White.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make the motion to move this back to committee.
Second.
Thank you. And if I may,
It's been moved by Commissioner Gage White, seconded by Commissioner Atkins to move this back to committee. Go ahead, Commissioner Gage White.
thank you, sir. I think that we've heard a lot of commentary about this specific ordinance, and there's a lot of good comments that have been made today, and I think that we all have different views of it. I'm surprised that we hadn't heard it already to move this back to committee. So this is the reason that I'm asking that we send this back to committee, and if we need to make those adjustments so that we can come together and collectively agree on what type of ordinance to move forward for our personnel policies and procedures.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'm gonna speak, and basically, I'm gonna go back to the administrator. When this issue came up that he had to stay in the parish. All the comments I hear today were totally different comments from people that sat on this horseshoe. He had to move into the parish. Don't care he stayed in Bossier. You're an employee of Caddo Parish, you need to move into this area. He even had one commissioner to say he went to his house, looked through the window, he wasn't staying in Caddo Parish. I mean, and so today, I hear the words penalize. Why would we say we penalizing somebody to stay in Caddo Parish? To me, it's an honor to stay in Caddo Parish. If we all are elected, we was elected by people in Caddo Parish to represent them. I've heard issues of private companies versus public entity, and we're a governmental body. So we have to run things differently than a private company. We can't do things that they do. We'll end up in jail. The best people for the job, nobody has restricted getting the best person for the job. This does not, to say that you gotta stay in Caddo Parish means that we can't hire the best person. I'm appalled that y'all said something like that. Because I believe Caddo Parish is a good place to stay. I wouldn't be staying there if it wasn't. And y'all shouldn't be sitting up here if you don't think it's not. I mean, we're not talking about every employee. It was 400 some employees. We're not talking about every employee. We're talking about an additional 8. And they might be hired after we're all gone. But at least they will be staying in Caddo Parish and not staying in Bossier or DeSoto or Webster Parish or wherever they might be, or East Texas. We can't keep letting money go out and nothing comes back in. They'll make over 6 figures on salary. They'll go stay somewhere else. They'll shop there. They'll spend their money. All they're gonna be doing in Caddo Parish is coming to work and taking money out. We're talking about 8 additional people, not the whole Caddo Parish Commission. 8 additional people. And we had this long conversation about 8 additional people. The ones that are in the current position are grandfathered. Made the substitute motion for that. Now, is there somebody that y'all trying to protect to say, well, they'll be able to get into that spot? Sounds like to me. That's what I pick up on. But if that person desires to be a director, they can do the same thing Dr. Wilson did. He has a house in Bossier and he has a residence in Caddo. He stays in Caddo Parish. If they got land that they want to say that we want to keep in the family or whatever, they can do that. You still got to move to Caddo Parish though. If your wife works in another parish, that's fine with her. Move somewhere to the edge and you still in Caddo Parish. You still drive further than she do. don't care about that. We gotta stop picking and choosing and be more consistent on about what we do. You know, this was a simple thing to me. I thought it was real simple and easy just to have an additional 8 people on this to say that they have to stay in Caddo Parish. We're not asking all the workers to move in Caddo Parish. It's only the 8 directors. That's it. They making top pay, and they should stay in Caddo Parish. How can we go out for millage when we don't even require everybody to stay that's getting top pay to pay the millage? Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pro Caddo, I think we're all pro Caddo, and I think being pro Caddo is and should be about hiring the best and the brightest, the right job for the right fit, regardless of the geographical boundaries that that person lives in. I think experience doesn't have any geo boundaries, and we should be looking for experience. I also believe that just because an employee chooses to live outside a particular parish or particular geographical area that they serve in doesn't mean that they're not loyal. That does not mean that they're not loyal citizens, that they're not loyal employees, that their tax dollars don't go, a majority of their tax dollars probably go right in this parish, even if they live outside the parish. So I think it's kind of hypocritical, but I understand on both sides. But I just think Pro Caddo is all about hiring the best and the brightest, and therefore I don't think we should have any geo limitations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, since I recommend moving it forward, Caddo leadership is important. It's important to the citizens of Caddo, whether they're Shreveport or not. I've just been, I wouldn't say fortunate, maybe unfortunate to have heard people who work in leadership that live in Shreveport and Caddo, well, that doesn't live in Shreveport and Caddo, talk bad about Shreveport and Caddo because they live somewhere else. I've just had that experience, and that rubbed me the wrong way then, and it rubs me the wrong way now. If you're in leadership in Caddo, then you should be working on the problems to improve Caddo and Shreveport. Shreveport and Caddo, if it's Shreveport or Caddo. But I don't see your loyalty, complete loyalty. You have exceptions, but I don't see your complete loyalty to a place, especially when you know that people put Shreveport and Caddo down. Sometimes they don't even make a differentiation between Caddo and Shreveport. I've seen that, talking about business, I've seen that in the business community. I've seen that at the chamber, and I ain't gonna point to which chamber I'm talking about, where companies come to this area and they'll point them to somewhere else rather than Shreveport and Caddo. So you have those kind of things. So don't say it's not a reality. It is a reality. So that's one of the reasons I felt that the leadership should be there. If not, we should just hire somebody from DeSoto to come up here to be the police chief. That'll be fine. That's an employee. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, well, let's get a mayor from somewhere else. He's an employee of the people of Caddo or Shreveport. So, you know, I think you need to think through it. I know it sounds as though we're being a bit petty, but that is not petty when it comes down to the leadership that you're grooming to put forth the face and the leadership for your particular area, or else we would just be a regional government. And yes, again, we are a government. We are not a business. We like to run it like a business, but we are still a government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Epperson.
This is my first time on the motion.
Call for the question on all motions.
Second.
But wait, this is my first time on this motion. This would have been my first time on your motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I just, and I'm ready to get on with this too. I thought it would be much simpler than what I'm hearing, and I don't know what's going on. But I'm sitting here listening to people who call themselves trying to run for mayor of Shreveport, advocating for a policy that doesn't require basic residency in Caddo Parish and Shreveport. we have lost, we had a net population loss of 20+ thousand people in the last census. Who are you going to lead after a while? Who are we going to be leading after a while? That's the equivalent of an entire Caddo Parish Commission district. 20,000 people. And we're sitting here, can't barely support promoting 8 more people? Or right now, at the immediate moment, none. Because it doesn't affect anybody. And so I'm trying to figure out something is going on that's not being said here. I get those who have a philosophical disagreement, but I'm not understanding folks who want to run for the largest municipality and lead the largest municipality. And that's not me. Let me make that statement now, okay? That's not me. But folks who are running and trying to lead the largest municipality in Caddo Parish would not abdicate that the leadership stay in Caddo Parish. If I was a site selector on a site selection tour and all of the directors and department heads in the room said, well, I live in Bossier, I live in Houghton, I live in DeSoto, I live in East Texas. Well, where would I, why would I want to locate my business here? And 2, if I did locate my business here, why in the world would I encourage my employees to stay there? If you don't live there, you're right. We are not a business, but we need to do things that are pro-business and conversations when business people come to the table. And this is not one. And I'll say this and I'll close. When I went to the Basic Economic Development course over in Plano, Texas, the CEO of Boeing, because Boeing moved into Dallas, I believe, or somewhere in that DFW Metroplex. Boeing moved its national headquarters to the DFW Metroplex from Chicago. And the CEO said he read the morning newspapers. Their team, they read the morning newspaper, and they sat around the table and they watched the morning and evening news to determine their decision to move their corporate headquarters. Thousands of employees. And if they turned on the news and saw everybody trashing that area, I'm puzzled on this. I'll vote to send it back to committee. I don't know what change is gonna come out of committee, but I'm just puzzled by what I hear. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
Commissioner Epps.
I got an email on October the 8th, 2021 at 5:27 p.m. And it says, have y'all seen this? This is really sad to see our city go down like this. It's a 28-minute video, which I didn't look at it, but I could just see it. All it did was the blight that was in Shreveport. This is what I responded to him. I said, what's new about this? This has always been the norm in most neighborhoods. What are you doing about it? What solutions do you have that can reverse this situation? Are you going to seek public office and offer yourself as a savior or a redeemer? Or are you just going to shoot video and blow hot air? What organizations are you an active member of in this city and parish to address this issue? When have you attended an MPC meeting, a commission meeting, a city council meeting to express your displeasure with this atrocity? Guess what the address was? Retired Captain Alvin Scott, 4923 General Rusk Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. And Mr. Jackson, Tesla moved their corporate headquarters from San Jose to Austin, Texas. I'm going to be in favor of this ordinance, and I hope that you would vote the same. And let's quit being so hypocritical about the situation with Dr. Wilson. People on a ladder looking all in his window. It was a hell of an atrocity that he did not live in Caddo Parish. And what is his name? John Escudé, he called them wood ducks. You'd fly across the parish line, get your bellies full and your back pockets full, and then you go back to wherever you came from and help that to grow. Let's get on with this thing. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, let's vote on the substitute motion of the last one.
This is the motion to refer it back to committee. That was a motion from Commissioner Gage Watts, seconded by Commissioner Atkins. That's the vote that is before us now.
Let's vote. Nobody's on the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The last.
There was so much discussion.
That
Did
was
we
the
actually
last
take a vote? I don't believe we took a vote on the call for the question.
We didn't call for the question.
No, we didn't. He retracted it
Sorry.
because President allowed Commissioner Jackson to speak.
You're right. Sorry. So what we previously stated is correct. It's the motion
Yes.
to
Yes.
send back to committee.
Mr. Atkins?
And that motion carries with 8 in support and 4 in opposition to refer this back to committee. And just to be crystal clear, that is back to the Personnel Policy Committee.
Same committee that it came out of and passed. Yeah.
Do we have a time that we're gonna have?
Yeah, I have to look.
Personnel Policy and Procedures Committee.
Yeah, same committee that
We'll do it before.
it
we'll do it
passed
before
out
the
of,
fall.
it fell on the floor. Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Brings us to authorize introduction of ordinance number 6118 of 2021. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues for the American Rescue Plan Fund to provide an appropriation for counseling in public high schools in Caddo Parish and otherwise provide with respect thereto, from Commissioner Chavez.
Motion to advance till Thursday. And I'd like to make an amendment on the word of the body. If I can get a second, I'll make that clarification.
Second.
Thank you, President. Underneath, and when I started this, Commissioners, it's been no surprise to everybody that Southwood High School is having a lot of issues. There's been a lot of fights. The Sheriff's Department's been there numerous times. There's been a lot of SPD. I know I spoke with the Caddo Parish School Board. They've had to step it up in funding to get more officers out there. They've had lockdowns. And my youth group at my church and some other counselors went up there about 3 or 4 weeks in a row trying to figure out what to do. I spoke with a gentleman within Caddo Parish that runs a program out of Green Oaks. I went and toured that program. It's called Team Impact, and they're having a huge success rate over there. Looked at putting one at Southwood. They said they could do it for $50,000. The reason for the $100,000, just to be clear, is I took it to the president, asked him about it. He recommended we raise the amount specifically because other schools are probably going to see an interest and would like to get a counseling program set up for that. So I don't need $100,000. I only need $50,000. We only get $30,000 in my district, District 10, out of the budget for any NGOs. If you guys look at the budget, I know these are ARPA funds. So if we don't spend them, they go back to the feds. I spoke with my Caddo Parish School Board member, Mr. Downs. I asked him, if we set this up, if we see this, will he continue the funding going forward? He said yes. I talked to Lamar Gore. I'm waiting for a call back from him to see about this. I know he's on board with the Seedlings program because they've seen how successful it is over at the other one. So I'd like to get both the Seedlings and Mr. Gore to come on Thursday. I'm going to invite them to come. I know the representative from the Team Impact program has agreed to show up to speak on it and speak on the success. I just know something has to be done at Southwood and as well as other respective schools, but this is my district and this is everybody calling me saying, what are you guys going to do about it? This is something that I would like to see done at Southwood to help out the students over there. So I would appreciate your support in moving this to Thursday. And if we have any questions throughout the week, I can address them. Thank you, President.
So your substitute motion was up to $50,000 allocated for Southwood and the other $50,000 for other Caddo Parish schools.
That's right.
All right, Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, when I saw this, the only thing that came to mind, given the turmoil that has taken place in Southwood, we have issues in a number of different schools, especially in the urban centers. But I guess the question came to mind with the Caddo Parish schools having so much more ARPA money, why aren't they identifying this and including it into their budget? That was my only concern about it. I think the Seedlink probably does a good job. I've heard of it, that group. But in terms of where the money is being pulled from, and given the fact that I understand that they have a heck of a lot more money than we do, why aren't they considering the same thing? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Epperson.
That's my concern also. I think this is an issue that's directly the responsibility of the Caddo Parish School Board. And I think for us to come as another agent outside to to put some, you in essence sending a negative connotation, you know what I mean? Things are so bad, we have an elected school board body. There's a certain school that things are so bad, everybody got to pitch in. The Caddo Parish School Board has plenty of ARAP money. They received a substantial amount of leasing bonuses for the high acquisition of the Haynesville share that's going on in Caddo Parish. And I think it's their direct responsibility to do whatever it takes to mitigate these circumstances that's going on within these schools. And I think we could best find somewhere else to spend our ARAP money before it goes back directly related to something that we are proponents of. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
I'd like to make a motion to remand this to the American Rescue Plan Fund Committee.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Epperson. To take this back to the ARP committee. Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak to that?
I don't recall this ever, and I watch my agendas pretty closely. I don't recall this ever being placed in committee. I don't recall seeing any proposal. Do y'all have a proposal on this?
I haven't seen one, sir.
Sir?
I haven't seen one.
Yeah, we didn't receive an application.
So no application. I haven't seen what's the cost per student on this, because $50,000 is a lot. I haven't seen whether this service is billable to Medicaid. I haven't seen whether any other organizations have been vetted. You know, these are the things that come up when other proposals come down here. And we ask all these questions, and I hadn't heard from Dr. Gore-Reed, hadn't heard from the principal. The dads on duties are doing a great job. Why aren't we including them as a part of this program? They have not been talked to. And I'm usually supportive of what people want to do in their district, but I think we've created a practice and a pattern of, one, wanting to go through committee and being vetted, two, wanting to have a proposal in place, three, wanting to have all the details. So I'd like to see some FAQs on what's what, you know. This fact sheet doesn't give any information, but you know, why the school board isn't talking about going half on this. I'd like to know, this says for counseling, I'd like to know if those counseling services are engaged with those students, become, you know, if they are clients of counseling agency A, will the students automatically become clients of this new agency? So I'd like to see some more stuff fleshed out. And I'll at least give folks the benefit of the doubt of giving my questions up front, as opposed to making you wonder what the questions are. But I think we need some more conversation on this particular issue. I'll be very clear, I have no problem supporting what anybody wants to do in their district if they think Commissioner Chavez, if you think this is what's best for your district. I heard you say that your district only gets $30,000, so if you think that this is what's best for, I wouldn't have no problem supporting it. But I want to make sure that it's treated consistently with what we've done or what we've established as a practice down here. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Carter.
Yes, my sentiments are the same with the previous speakers, previous commissioners. I'm quite sure that Seeglink would do an excellent job on this. So I don't have a challenge with that. My biggest challenge is can we get a matching commitment from the Caddo Parish schools? I mean, if we can get a matching commitment from there, I don't think it needs to go to committee from where I sit. But I just think there's a lot of things that are particularly germane to the Caddo Parish school system. And I think they've got 200 and I don't want to be counting someone else's pocket, but I know they got $240-some million over a 2-year period of time. So that's just one of the things I would like to see happen. Thanks.
Mr. Chavez.
Thank you, President. I think Commissioner Jackson's substitute motion is extremely responsible. I do. So I would be willing to see this go to the committee, and we do our due diligence. But for all the reasons stating is the same thing that I've been saying for the last 6 years that I've been this horseshoe, that we shouldn't be in after-school tutoring programs. So I think we need to take a hard stance look on these when we look at our NGOs next year and look at why is the Caddo Parish School Board not funding these after-school tutoring programs for education, yet we, the Caddo Parish Commission, are. Now, the reason that I thought it was necessary to have a counseling program at Southwood is because you guys know what's going on over there. And if we don't get this counseling to these students now, we're going to end up footing the bill for this at the Juvenile Detention Center next year when those students come there for guests. So that's the reason that I wanted to see this on the agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson, for saying that I know what's best for the district. This is what I would like to see in my district, but I think it's right and proper and responsible to do the due diligence of getting the paperwork and having the school board come before us. So when it goes to the American Funds Rescue Committee, I think maybe a lot more of us should come down, because we do need to have some hard stance talks on the NGOs in the future when it comes to after-school tutoring. And I think we'll have those conversations not now, but in the near future. But I'd like to see this in the committee so we can discuss to get the students the help that they need at Southwood. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Gage-Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I agree that we are in Caddo Parish in a public health emergency right now, and public safety is our priority, with appropriating funds to just one school, because all of them have public safety issues across Caddo Parish. I am in support of this ordinance. I do agree that there has been a lot of discussion around the horseshoe about it, and I think all of us would like to see some additional language included in this ordinance to include other schools. As I have been very vocal for the last 6 years about crime in our area, and I do think that we all have a responsibility. I do think it's a collective effort, and I do believe that it does pour over into our parish, from the school system. So this is a great start. I will be supporting to move this to a committee, but I am also in support of this ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I support the ordinance. Yeah, there's some things that needs to be vetted. It does. But as a knee-jerk reaction about the tutoring programs, I mean, at the end of the day, we're responsible from people from newborn till they die. School board only has them from K to 12. If they're falling short on something that they should be doing, we should call them out on it. There should be articles about it. There should be statements made about it. But we cannot drop the ball on the youth if we know that there is a gap there. And to say that, well, we need to look at that and maybe take that out, I disagree with that factor, because at the end of the day, if they don't get an education, they're going to go to hustling. They go to hustling, they're going to end up over there in the detention center. And then they're going to be ours anyway. So if you have some factors that will help them to learn, then we can keep them out of there. It's a preventive measure, not we're doing something proactive instead of reactive. So that's why we do the things that we do. And like I said, we need to be talking to school board. Just like you talked to them about this, we need to talk to them about tutoring programs.
Agreed.
Making them more effective. for the students that we see and hear about on a day-to-day basis. Because they could be out of that loop. Don't know why, but they could be out of that loop. Commissioner Epperson.
Just a point of information, the NGO program started around 1993 or 1994 out of great contentiousness. Started with about $50,000, and we know what it's up to now. However, the tutoring programs, all of them has gone through a process. It's not like somebody just pulled it out of their hat and put it on the table. It goes through a budgetary process, which is, ever since the inception of all of them, has gone through the process. Not like this situation is here now. So just want to get that information out. Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else, Commissioner Jackson, go ahead.
And I also want to just note that while we also have a responsibility to public safety, we do have a responsibility to promote economic development, because of bad economic development, it's a domino effect, leads to public safety issues, and so all of this ties in. And again, I want to make sure that, because I seldomly vote no for something down here, so I just want to make sure that we're supporting everybody's idea and giving everybody a fair chance to have their ideas heard and implemented. And I think I've always said, if it doesn't work, we come back to the table and try again, but at least give everybody a fighting chance and an open mind. An open mind. And I can't say that everybody down here has always approached things with an open mind. I could sit up here today and talk about everything that I thought might go wrong with us doing this. And that is the way we approach certain situations. We sit back and we think about everything that might go wrong and the worst case scenario about it. And I could have did that on this particular item, because this is a whole lot of money we're talking about. And I got calls on Friday from mental health behavior agency owners, and the first question they asked me was, who pocket? I got to get in to get that. And I didn't even know what they were talking about. I had not even read the agenda. So just know that, you know, my conversation to them was, we have a process that we work, and if the process of vetting this shows that this is worth doing, then we support it. And what I told them was, if you got an idea, bring your idea forward. But I never support talking down somebody's idea. And I hope that we will take that same position of trying to figure out how to get something done, as opposed to how can we kill something. I think we'll be a much better parish and city, and country and community, if we do that. Thank you.
Let's vote on the substitute motion, which was, Mr. Clerk?
Committee.
The substitute motion is to, well, let's see, I'm sorry, I had advance and remand wording, and then, I'm sorry, the substitute is from Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Epperson, to remand to the ARP, the American Rescue Plan Fund Committee.
Okay.
We're going to committee.
Yeah.
And that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition.
Next item.
That brings us to authorize introduction of ordinance number 6119 of 2021, an ordinance adopting the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Shreve Memorial Library for the year 2022.
Move to introduce.
But it sounds like it was Commissioner Gage that made the motion to move it to regular
Advance to
session.
Thursday.
Who seconded?
Jackson.
Okay, and Commissioner Jackson second. Commissioner Gage, you want to speak to your motion?
I'll yield to the finance department. I know that this is an adoption that we do yearly.
All right, so they don't want to say nothing, so, Commissioner Carthon.
Yes, you know, I was reviewing the agenda, and I noticed over the last couple of years, we, on that financials, there's a deficit, and it's, you know, running to the tune of about $4.5 million. Do we, I know this is a pass-through. Do we have any understanding of why they're running such a large deficit?
No, sir. We'll have to have them come and explain to us what the reasons for deficits are. We don't know.
Okay, thanks.
And we're not responsible for the deficit.
Yeah, I know.
To make up the balance. We're not responsible for that.
They've
So
got
if they're
a-
4 million in the hole,
No,
we're
no,
not
sir.
responsible to help them.
No.
Okay.
They have a sizable fund balance, but I
balance.
agree with Commissioner Cawthorn, it does give me concern.
Yeah, they do have a fund balance. Commissioner Evers.
Just information from the administration. I think I heard that the city council is voting to give the facility on Edward Street to the Chamber of Commerce. Was that a former library building?
It was.
Okay, do we
It may
have
have been.
any
It was.
say in that?
Yes,
That's
sir.
totally responsibility of the city council.
Yes, sir. It's not ours anymore.
Pardon?
The responsibility is the city of Shreveport.
Oh, so that's total responsibility
Yes,
of the
sir.
city council?
We co-own the current Shreve Memorial Library jointly with the city of Shreveport.
Okay,
Not that building.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, and I guess we'll get to this when they come. But I think part of their are they on our debt services or on the city of Shreveport debt services?
Actually, we approve their bond issues.
Okay.
They go through us on that.
Okay.
But they're managed financially by the city of Shreveport.
Okay.
So yes, in
They don't
principle,
have
we
debt.
do.
Okay. And I thought they had some debt that was rolling off.
I'm not sure. We can have
Do we know?
Tuttle come here.
Okay.
Thursday.
Yeah, if we just want to check to see, I thought they may have had some debt. I think they've kind of accelerated some of the debt that they've been paying over the years, and they're paying it off a little earlier than expected. So I think that might
Okay.
kind of be attributing to why, I don't know all of it, but I think some of it attributes. I can see here where almost $1 million is in debt services here. And I want to say maybe that capital, they've been kind of being aggressive with capital improvements. And so if you look at that debt service as well as that capital expense, it basically is where their deficit is coming from. But I'd like to just kind of hear it from them. But if you add those two numbers up, that's almost getting us, or it's getting very close, or almost all the way to, or very close to that, what that deficit is. And I think that's them being aggressive and paying off some of their debt before they have to go back out to voters to do something else. I think that was my understanding a couple of years back when we asked that question, but be interested to hear.
They have it Thursday.
Okay, and they are, so they do take advantage of our, that,
Yes, sir, they do.
is it AAA, AA?
AAA.
AAA, okay. My bad, I didn't want to get that wrong. But they're taking advantage of our AA bond rate.
Triple A.
AAA.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure you were listening.
Just like the auto club.
I wanted to gotcha, thank you.
Let's vote.
And that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition. And that brings us to authorize resolution number 72 of 2021. It's a resolution to authorize the Caddo Parish Administrator to request and authorize the Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board and the Office of Mineral Resources to accept nominations and advertise for oil, gas, and mineral leases, accept bids and award and execute oil, gas, and mineral leases on certain mineral interests owned by the Parish of Caddo and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to Thursday for approval.
Commissioner Evers. I saw his, he was already.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to englobo resolution number 72 of 2021, number 73 of 2021, and 74 of 2021 to remand them to the Natural Resources Committee.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Everson, seconded by Commissioner Jackson, to move resolution 71, 72, 73, 74 to the Natural Resource Committee. Commissioner Everson, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, sir. Ever since the inception of the Haynesville Shale being introduced to Caddo Parish in around 2006, 2007, or 2008, this body started out by putting ordinances in place as far as noise and other things that we had control over as a local body as it relates to the oil and gas drilling industry coming to Caddo Parish. For those of you that may remember, we partnered with Tarrant County out of Fort Worth, Texas. We travel out there. They had the Barnett Shale. They had the experience with that, so we learned a lot from them. So over that period of time, since about 2007, 2008, nothing has been done on a local basis to see what we can do to address and mitigate some of the complaints our citizens may have as it relates to oil and gas drilling. Now that it's coming into high-density urban residential areas, noise, odors, dust, traffic, lights, a whole lot of things. We realize that the bulk of this industry the majority of this, all of this industry is basically controlled by state government. It is harder to get a lemonade stand put into your community than it is for someone to come and drill an oil well 500 feet from the wellhead to your property line, clearing out 10 to 12 acres of land, environmental issues, animals running out, timber being destroyed, dust, noise, and complaints from citizens, and they just kick the can down the road. So I would like for these leases to be remanded to the Natural Resources Committee, and there are some things that I feel that we can do to see if we can get this industry to have better concerns that it relates to the complaints of our citizens in these high-density areas of our city and our parish. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, is there a particular timeline on this? But I think Natural Resources, I don't, if I remember correctly, I'm chairing that or somebody's chairing.
Yeah, we got a chair.
John Paul.
I think it's John Paul.
John Paul,
It's Roy. It's you.
Oh, you.
Oh.
So it rolls to your committee.
Isn't that something?
Right.
So I finally get something to go to a committee that I'm on. Like I said, is there a timeline on this, Mr. Chair?
As soon as possible.
Is there a time?
Okay, thank you, Mr.
I can answer. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, no, I support Commissioner Epperson wholeheartedly. I saw the article last week. In fact, when I got to lunch last Friday, a couple of those West Shreveport residents were teasing me about the article and asking what is it that the parish could do. And so ironically, this is on the agenda today, and it seems like all of these are in the West Shreveport area. Mm-hmm. Okay. And okay. Well, hopefully what we can do is at least have a conversation about bringing, because I see some that say it's West Caddo here. And so hopefully we can have a conversation about how we can bring some type of conversation with the State Mineral Board about the concerns, because I know there's also a concern in North Shreveport in the MLK area. I don't represent that area, but I have heard those concerns.
I do.
Right. I have heard those concerns about it in MLK as well. So I'm not too far from MLK, but so I'll support sending this to Natural Resource Committee. Thank you.
I didn't see you back there, Jimmy. Is there a time restraint on this?
No, sir. I mean, obviously, they want us to send it down to the mineral board as soon as possible, but we can't send it down there until the resolutions are passed. So,
okay. All right. I didn't see the poll was blocking. Commissioner Hopkins, you was on the board.
That was my question.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Chavez.
I saw, President, I saw one in your district and two in Commissioner Epperson's, and I guess I was going to get your guys' opinions on, and I think one's in Commissioner Hopkins. Are you guys okay with the sending to committee?
Yeah, as long as Roy gonna have a meeting.
Okay. Just wanted to follow your lead on it. It's your district.
As long as
Okay.
we
That's
move
all.
along, we ready to drill anytime.
I know you are. All right. I'll yield. Thank you. Thank you, President.
You back on the board, Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah.
Second time, okay, go ahead.
Jimmy, are you able to get somebody, a representative from the mineral board to come to that meeting? 'Cause I think it would be helpful if they got, I would ask that to Commissioner Epperson.
It won't be a problem.
Okay.
I'm already in contact.
Okay,
Yeah, they've been in before.
okay.
Whenever
All right.
you want, I know who.
No,
to
I'm just
contact.
saying maybe get them to come down and get some of those folks who are trying to lease to come down and maybe use the lease as an opportunity to talk about how the issues are coming up, address that via the lease. Because we'd be part of the lease, right? So address it as a part of the lease, hopefully. Thank you, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Epperson.
I'm off.
All right, seeing no one else, let's vote.
Work, no, still not?
Not taking his vote. I see he's pushing it. There it is. All right, that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 in opposition. And so that is for 72, 73, and 74. And that brings us to authorized resolution number 75 of 2021, a resolution adopting the Parish of Caddo's preliminary floodplain species assessment as part of the parish's floodplain management program and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak to that?
What's this, Doc?
This is to get extra points to get cheaper flood insurance.
Okay.
And it was recommended that we do the study. And we can get our citizens who pay flood insurance an extra 5% discount.
I need all I can get.
Can we do 2 of them?
And something is going on with the fonts here.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Did y'all see that?
Yes, it's kind of distorted.
Yeah,
Right.
something's going on. It's like Arabic font, so y'all might want to take a look at that. Whoever drafted it,
Yeah, Jeff, I need to get Jeff to work it out.
it's an Arabic font on
Yeah, one of the attachments is in a different language.
the fact sheet.
That's in species.
These come from Public Works, who sometimes sends us items in WordPerfect, and
Oh,
it does not
okay.
correlate to our Word sometimes, so it transitions. Sometimes I'll double check that and see if we can't transfer the text a different way or something. But sometimes it's just a matter of an
Okay.
outdated software not being able to translate to the current
Okay.
font.
I didn't know
So
if that would
we'll-
be an
we'll-
advertising
We'll copy it
issue
and
or
paste
what.
it and see if that fixes the problem.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's no advertising issue.
Thank you.
That's it.
Commissioner Atkins.
You can pull me. My answer,
Alright.
my question was answered.
So, Dr. Wilson, when
Yes,
we
sir.
actually vote on this, can we kind of get a dummy down version of what areas are impacted in this, or is it just parish-wide?
It's gonna be parish-wide.
Okay.
And we currently get a 5% discount on flood insurance now. We'll garner more points that allow us to move to 10%. There's about 476 residents that have flood insurance.
I'm
They
one
would-
of
They would
them.
get the extra discount.
Yeah, I'm one of them, so that's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir. If you pass this, you'll get a discount, sir.
All right. As a tax citizen, I'm happy that you're doing this. Let's vote. Since they made me get the insurance. Yeah, I know. You got one over there.
I'm paying those high rates too.
Yeah.
Y'all open machine?
Yeah.
What,
Machine's stuck.
Nothing's up.
It's not going up.
there we
There it
go.
is.
Something's supposed to go away. There we go.
Okay, and that advances with 12 in support and none in opposition. That brings us to authorized resolution number 76 of 2021. That's a resolution authorizing the Parish of Caddo to join with the state of Louisiana and other local governmental units as a participant in the Louisiana State Local Government Opioid Litigation Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, and any subsequent formal agreements necessary to implement the MOU, including but not limited to the subdivision settlement participation forms in Exhibit K of the Distributor Settlement Agreement and the Janssen Settlement Agreement, and to otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to advance to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Gage Watts, seconded by
Second.
Second, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Gage Watts, you want to speak to your motion?
I'll yield to the parish attorney.
She ain't on the board yet.
Yeah, ma'am, we are currently involved in a class action lawsuit against the opioid drug manufacturers, and they are reaching a settlement, and we have to put this legislation forward to take part in that settlement.
That's all? Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, this is separate from the AG's lawsuit, is that correct?
No, this is part of the settlement that the AG is entering into.
Okay. And what he said was coming to local governments, is that what he was talking about last week? Something about the
Yes.
Yes.
Is it possible for us to do an executive session on this to kind of get the whole shebang on
We don't
what's
know.
up, or do y'all not think that that's necessary?
I don't think we know exactly how much that is yet. Do you know, Donna?
We don't know yet.
We don't know
Once they've actually finished negotiations, because everybody has to sign up.
Okay.
This is basically to approve us to sign up.
Sign up.
The deadline to sign up is in January of 2022.
So there's like nothing confidential about what we got to do here?
No.
Okay. And this would basically go to juvenile or go to CCC or something? Because I was told that they wanted it used for.
There are going to be several different parameters specified for the uses, and we won't know what those are until the settlement is reached.
That's interesting that they got Jefferson Parish at 13%. I was looking for Orleans. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this go forward. So
Yeah.
we'll probably have some more questions about it. But I saw some last week on it.
If you all do have questions, we can get the attorneys up here who are representing us. I just need to know,
Okay.
I mean, do you want that done before?
Oh, I'm fine with passing this. I just, at some point, maybe just a briefing. So I'm fine with passing it now. I don't have a problem. I just would like for us to get, so we'll know exactly what's coming and what's going on, because I think it's a pretty complicated kind of deal. I'm glad to see us getting it. I didn't think we were gonna get anything, to be honest.
Me too.
So I'm a little shocked that we got anything. And shout out to the AG's office for securing this. It'll be interesting to see what parameters they put in place, but no, I just would like to see at some point a conversation about, with those attorneys. This blank page here is not like it's not like the First Hospital contract is. It's supposed to be blank. That was a joke.
Okay.
I'm done.
Commissioner Edwards.
I pass.
Is this the only lawsuit that's out there right now?
This is the only lawsuit on behalf of Caddo Parish that is out there right now.
I know, because, the reason I'm asking the question is, I know we brought this up, at least I brought this up a couple of years ago, I think, about when this was actually hitting national news and where we stood on this. And so just to see it now come that we finna get a resolution on it, I was just wondering why it took so long.
Commissioner, it's been in litigation since you all first signed on to the lawsuit, probably 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Right.
Some of the companies that were sued have filed bankruptcies, and so on, and so, this is just the time that it takes.
I'm just saying, we just didn't get any type of update of where it was up until now, so that's the reason I'm asking, because that's been almost 3 years, like you said. All right, let's vote.
All right, and that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition. And that brings us to authorizing resolution number 77 of 2021, a resolution recognizing October 11th, 2021 as Indigenous Peoples Day in Caddo Parish in recognition of America's first inhabitants and the tribal nations that continue to thrive today, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to advance to Thursday for presentation.
Second.
The move by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Epperson, you want to speak to your motion?
No, sir.
Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
I think,
Okay. Commissioner Young?
I just wanted to say, Mr. President, thank you, that it would be nice if it was maybe amended Thursday to include a mention of the Caddo people. That's all. Thank you. May I answer?
Yes.
You say the Caddo people?
Yes, the
Okay,
tribe of
well,
Caddo.
I was going to mention that the Caddo are the Indians. That's where
Yes.
Caddo Parish is named after.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll have some of them here Thursday for presentation.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
I was gonna make a motion to Globo 78. I don't know what 79 is, but I included it.
Well, I got a question on 78.
So I got a question on 70,
Okay, never mind.
79.
Never
Yeah,
mind.
so, yeah, I don't think we need to include both of them.
Never mind.
All right, seeing no one else, let's vote.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support and none in opposition, 1 absent to advance. And that'll move us to the next page. Authorizing the resolution number 78 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the Caddo Parish Administrator to enter into an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, obligating the parish to pay 10% of the construction costs and assume all legal liability for and all maintenance and operating costs of the subject boom or bust scenic view project number H013315, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by who? Commissioner Hopkins, to advance, resolution number 78. Commissioner Jackson, want to speak to that motion?
Yeah, I assume this is up in North Caddo?
Yes, it is.
With the Tourism Bureau. I'm not hating on y'all getting this, but I am concerned that when, I assume we're taking over this road? We're not taking ownership of this road? So the maintenance and upkeep and operation costs, what's that?
It's already one of our parks.
Oh, okay, so it's not a highway.
No, it's not a road. They use a road project for it,
Okay.
application, but it's not a road. It's a parks project that, they've gotten state funding for and that the parish only has to pay 10%.
I thought I had something to hit. I thought I had something to hit y'all over the head with over 4th Street.
About 17,000.
I thought I had something to hit y'all over the head over 4th Street with. So,
We blessed with that.
I'll yield. This is not what I thought it was.
Commissioner Atkins?
I didn't gather all the conversation on that end of the horseshoe as to exactly what is it. Can you just enlighten us on this project and so we can be better informed, please?
Yes, sir. It's a boom or bust scenic byway that is in our area, and we have one, I think Robert Nance Park
That's correct.
is a part of that. There's 2 parks, with one in Caddo, one in Bossier, and one in Red River Parish. And they want to try to encourage tourism along that path. So this is to make some enhancements in the park.
Okay, and I'm fine with that.
Yes, sir.
I just always have a problem agreeing to an unknown future liability. I mean, how do
yes,
we know
sir.
they're not gonna spend $100 million on these 3
Yeah,
parks or whatever?
Yeah. Commissioner Atkins, I think it's a $175,000 project, and I'll
Okay.
share $17,000.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
I would like to had that information in the body.
Okay.
It was a park, because I think everybody up here was thinking that it was a road, or maybe a state highway that we finna put some money to.
That's too far, because there is a road portion.
But, if it's a park, I think that should have been in this, that we would have known that it's a park instead of not.
Commissioner, this is just one of those requirements that the state has a requirement for their contract. They've basically done the contract and promised and obligated us the money. They just basically made us put this on here, sent it to us and told us we had to put it on here.
But it's a project that the state is wanna do, but they gonna say we gotta pay 10%.
Well, the parish is wanting the state to do it, and the parish has gotten, it's more like the parish
A
wanting
grant.
to do it, and the state is paying 90% as opposed to,
So,
you know.
administration wants to do it, and then y'all went after it and.
Yes, sir. It's a grant. It's just like the pavilion that's going to be built at Earl Williams Park. I think it was a $300,000 project that the state funded, and we put a portion of that money in that construction. So just to enhance tourism along the certain parts of Caddo Parish.
So did the state give us some money for this?
Pardon me?
Did the state give us some money for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much, you know?
I think it's, for this project, I think it's $175,000. Hey, Patrick, you have the total number on this project? I think it's $175,000, isn't it?
The total project, I don't know.
Yeah. What's the total cost of the Civic Byway project?
The total project was over a little over $500,000.
Okay.
Total half, and it's basically a visitors station that will promote the park and will promote people and visitors to stop by and use the restroom, visit our trails, visit the Caddo Lake area, and just view nature.
That's the wrong one.
So it's in conjunction
So we
with
getting a
convention.
$500,000 center for $17,000, $18,000. Okay.
Yeah.
I wish that would have been in the body, and we wouldn't have had all
Yeah,
that.
hey, Patrick, is that the pavilion or the Robert Nance Park project?
That's Urgy Williams.
Well, okay, that's stuff what he's asking us. This is a different project, Commissioner Johnson.
Are you talking?
This is the pavilion at Earl Williams Park, a new pavilion coming.
This one?
Yes, well, the one that Patrick's talking about, the Robert Nance, the Civic Byway project is a different project.
Yeah.
Where they had three parks, one in Lincoln Parish, one in Bosch Parish, and one in Caddo Parish. Robert Nance Park.
You're right.
And that
Okay.
was $175,000.
Okay.
All right. So by Thursday, can we get all this in the body?
Yes,
some
sir.
kind of
We'll
way
get
so
you
that-
some information on it.
Let me check, because they sent that form, and basically y'all have approved already the parish's portion of the project in the budget. Y'all have already approved what we have to do. There wouldn't have been a resolution at all but for the state requiring that there be one. So let me check to see if I can modify that form, because they're a little sensitive about that.
With this form right here?
Yes.
And point of information, just so, and the reason the Tourist Bureau, through the boom and bust, applied for a grant through the state of Louisiana. They received that money. They took that money and they're putting in some picnic tables at Robert Nance Park. But to do that, we had to have this whole process.
Right.
And so that's where we are.
All right, so if you can't put it into the body of this, give us a fact sheet so that we'll know what this is all about instead of
Okay.
all of this other stuff.
You swear away?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's see, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I'm gonna take one out of Commissioner President Johnson's playbook. I want to see like a up to amount on the liability. So if we could have like a up to a liability amount that we're agreeing to, 'cause that's how are we gonna just openly agree to any liability that could have did? What if somebody chokes on the picnic table?
We already own the park. Park's ours.
Right, but it's saying all liabilities. If something happens to a patron at the park, we're held legally liable.
Yes, sir, it's our park.
Basically, Commissioner, what they're doing is they're giving us the money so that we don't have to spend it. And so basically, we're going to own the improvement like we would any other improvement that we would be doing in the park.
Okay, it seems like we need a fact sheet come Thursday. 'Cause there's a lot of questions around here.
Yeah, but Commissioner Chavez is one of the 14 parks that we own as the Parish of Caddo. And they just buying some picnic tables for our park.
I'm gonna yield back.
A lot of money for some picnic
I'll wait till
tables.
Thursday, President.
All right.
Okay.
Commissioner Evers?
Just one park? What park are these picnic tables?
Pardon me?
What park is this going to
Robert
be
Nance.
at?
Robert Nance.
Robert Nance, just one park?
Yes.
Okay. We can't get in at another park?
Yes, sir. Well, this is the Tourist Bureau working this out now. It's not us.
Can't split it up. You getting 10, give us 5.
Okay.
One at Caddo and one at Bowling.
Especially if it's free, Mo.
Commissioner Young?
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Wilson, is there any space for fruit trees in this park?
Yes, sir.
That's a serious question.
Yes, sir. It
Okay,
is.
great. I would like to get some there.
Now, we can't do it on this grant. We have to find another.
I understand.
Yeah, I think the
I
ARP
understand.
project that we
Let's talk
approved
about
a
that
few weeks
afterward.
ago could be used for that.
Great.
Point of
Let's talk about a
information,
plan
you
for
need to
that.
go up and look at that park. There's
All
not
trees
that
there.
much room.
If there's no room,
Because
then
there's
that's
a
another thing.
boat launch there and one playground area, and the rest of it is
It's all
slope.
Yeah, it's all trees too.
It's got trees in it already.
Okay,
so
well,
may
we should
not
take
be.
a look. And my second point is there's a bunch of typos in this. Sometimes it's called boom or bust, sometimes it's called boom or burst. And in the fourth paragraph that begins with the word now, it says, which obligates the city to pay 10%. I think that should be the parish, so it needs to be proofread. Thank you, that's
Okay.
all.
Ms. Jackson, are you on the board or you stuck?
No, I don't know where that is.
All right. Let's vote.
And that motion carries with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to resolution number 79 of 2021, a resolution urging and requesting the United States Congress to require social media applications to restrict access to students on school grounds and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So moved to Thursday. If I get a second, I'll explain.
Second.
Thank you,
Moved by
Commissioner.
Commissioner Chavez, seconded by Commissioner Talaferro to advance the resolution 79 of 2021 to Thursday.
Commissioners, I know this one sounds a little abnormal, and you have all heard this statement, all politics is local. But this also relates to the Southwood incidents, and not just within my district, but in the other schools, in the other districts of Caddo. A lot of the students that are misbehaving or doing whatever they're doing at the schools, it's all stemming back from social media. If you talk to any counselors, they're saying, of course, they'll say social media is our civilization's demise. However, I was trying to figure out a way, because they have a TikTok challenge right now where it's a slap a teacher. And this is a real thing. I mean, I'm not making it. You can look on USA Today. There's another one, school blames Devious Licks TikTok challenge for inciting vandalism and theft. And they have students that are flooding the bathrooms, ripping the sinks off the walls, doing a lot of things that is obviously not conducive to education. And I met with our attorney, and what I would like to see is that obviously the social media not work within the hours of 8 to 3 while the students are in school. What I come up with is, in the state of Louisiana, they're working on passing online gambling, and how they're going to achieve that is geofencing specific parishes to disallow those parishes that are outlawing it to where your phone will not work in those parishes. So if it's good enough for gambling, I think it's good enough for our students. If what we can do, and of course the reason for this resolution is to send up to Congress because they're over the FCC. We can't dictate that here at our level. We have to get the FCC to mandate this. That of course comes from Congress, from the feds. So where I started this saying all politics is local, we may not have our congressional delegation knowing what's going on here locally. I hope they do, but if not, it's up to us to be the voice of the parents that's responsible for the kids and the students in the schools that need this assistance. So what I would like to see is a resounding unanimous vote from the commission to ask our congressional delegation to start querying the FCC about actually setting up geofencing around the schools so that when the kids' phones are at the school, that their phone does not work, so they cannot record what they're doing to get more likes and share with their friends the devastation of what's going on in the schools. The question could be asked, well, what about using the phone for other things? That's absolutely accessible. You can whitelist preferred websites so that the students' phones can still be used for education, but you can specifically block out IP addresses for social media sites. The teachers will still be able to use social media because they'll be using their phones that are attached to the Wi-Fi networks that are password protected at the Pacific schools. I think this is something that we could do from our level to send up to Congress to ask them to help our schools and eradicate the social media within the schools from the hours of 8 to 3. I think this is just a start. This is what I'm coming up with. I would love to hear y'all thoughts, but this is something that needs to be done not only at Southwood, but at other schools within my district and without Caddo Parish. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Evers.
I would think that this is a school board issue, why don't they just ban cell phones at school? Cell phones isn't a necessary tool of education. You know what I mean? You need your books, your pencil, your paper. But cell phones aren't necessary tools for learning at school. So I think that's just a stretch. The school board ought to just do a deal. No cell phones at school. I don't see what we're here. And then we got Cut 45 crying now because he's saying they keeping him off of what is it, Twitter or Facebook or something because of the January the 6th thing. You know, are we looking at a First Amendment? You know, right? We are categorizing and punishing probably 99.99% of the people for what less than a half of 1% is doing, you know. But I would think just banning cell phone, tell them kids, leave those doggone things at home. You don't need that for education. That's my 2 cents on it.
All right. I guess my problem is, to me, this seems like a resolution that the school board should be coming up with. I know y'all talk a lot of times about being in our different lanes. There's a workaround around this because you say you're gonna block social media, but I can still record it on my phone and then download it once I get off the school ground. So that really doesn't work. And if the TikTok deal is say to slap the teacher, you can still record slapping the teacher and then get off the campus and then download it to TikTok once it comes back on. Or if you got a fight that's going on, you can sit there and record the fight on your phone, and then once you get off campus, you can then download it to whatever social media you want to. So it seems like this needs some more work to be done to it. I mean, it's a good idea, but if you still have those other ways of doing it, then all it's going to be now is just delayed instead of instantaneously. Unless you walk off campus, go cross street, and then you can download. Commissioner Carter.
Yes, I would echo the same sentiments. I think this should start with the parish school board, and whether or not you had a conversation with the school board representative for your district. Secondly, in a few of the U.S. subcommittees, you know, Facebook has been voted for the subcommittee. I think there is some discussion in subcommittees right now about social media, but it's more toward Facebook and some of the limits they're having. And then thirdly, while this is a good idea conceptually, I think the great communicator is turning over in his grave right now. It seems like too much government regulation. Sounds like government regulation. But like I say, it seems like a good thought, good process. I think it's something that we need to think through, and we probably need to team up with the school board representative so we can kind of hash this out. And maybe we can do a collective resolution. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, I guess it's just a little bit sarcastic. I'm just glad to know that we're able to now engage some of our state and local government officials, because I know we had a heartburn over this earlier, and now it seems as though we are actually arriving to the point to recognize government is local. And the only way that we can relay that to those persons who are above us, which is at the state and national levels, is that we send some message from us to them, because they wouldn't be in office if government wasn't local. So I'm just glad to see that we're trying to evolve. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Atkins.
Well, I've always been a late adapter, slow evolver. And although I appreciate Commissioner Chavez's ideas here, and I know I'm not the most creative member on this commission, I recognize and acknowledge that. But this does seem a bit out of our lane, and I'd be uncomfortable supporting it. But thank you for your thoughts, Commissioner Chavez.
And you are
Say that again? I don't think,
Pardon?
repeat that? Did that come from you?
That came from me.
Okay.
He forgot to say, you know, I love you, Commissioner Sheffield.
Oh, I do. I love you, Commissioner Shaffer.
I love you too.
I was just gonna note that I do believe if you are on the school board's Wi-Fi, they already have. If you're trying to access it via their Wi-Fi, they already have it sort of whitewashed, where you cannot access social media platforms and certain sites. I do know at one point students were creating these tunnels that if you put a M in front of the what's his name or something like that, you could bypass it. So kids are creative, and I don't know that whatever comes up. And what was interesting was the short time that I was teaching as a long-term sub in Caddo when I first moved back from college. It was the students that showed me the bypass. so they're gonna, they're fairly creative, and we want them to be creative. So I'd be interested to know if the school board is not already doing this. This is not the worst idea. I do think that, and I'll be honest with you, it's not a bad idea. It's experimental. I do think the school board needs to be involved because they may already be doing this or may already be looking at it. But I will echo that I would like for us to not play. I would like for us to not play the game of this is what we do, this is what we don't do in certain instances, because I could substitute some of these words in here for mask or vaccine, and we will be where we were 3-4 months ago, saying we shouldn't, and overreach. So again, not saying that this is a bad idea. I plead for consistency. I can at least appreciate John sometime for being consistent, not all the time, because he'll play that political game too and choose sides. But I'd like to encourage the school board to come to the conversation. And I'm not gonna burn your resolution up like you probably burned some of mine up. So we'll see how the chips fall on this. But I don't think it's the worst idea that you could come up with. I don't think it's a bad idea. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Commissioners, thanks for your consideration of this. I know it's abnormal and it's very forward thinking. My background is in satellite communications and GPS tracking from the military, so this is not one thing that most people consider. It would be the easiest thing to say, no, just leave your phone at home. I get that, trust me. I would love to see the school do that. However, you can't expect a student to be successful in this day and age without having their cell phone. We all have our cell phones up here every day. My employees, they won't leave their house without their cell phones. So we have to train them to be successful where they're at and where we're at as a society. And I just think that when everyone's looking at us to be the local leaders and asking us, what are we doing to combat the crime? What are we doing to stop this? What are we doing to help the kids in school? This is just my idea, and I would love to see more ideas come to this horseshoe and bubble up. And I think the point of the idea is where we're going to come to the solution. So I'm for anybody coming up with a solution and us setting up the food chain. I understand that, yes, the Caddo Parish School Board should be addressing this, but likewise, they may not have a military background in satellites, and they may not even know that this is possible. I actually asked our attorney to write this initial resolution to the school board to ask them to do this, and he came back with the reasoning to me that this can only be done from the FCC, and this is the reason why I'm asking our congressional delegation to address this now, as opposed to sending this over to Caddo School Board and hindering this even longer. We all know that it's a huge social media issue and something needs to happen, and this is what I'm coming up with, but I'm all ears on any other solution. So I'd love to see this go up as a resolution I hope it passes. If not, it's a shot at something that when people ask me, what am I doing, this is something I'm trying to do. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we can always send it to a committee. Come on, Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it would probably be easiest to direct a resolution like this to the school board and not try to get federal legislation based on the notice of a resolution that comes from Caddo Parish. I also think that they could do it without geofencing. I think they could use something like a lockbox and lock up kids' phones during the day. I don't think anybody needs their phone to learn at school. Thanks.
Commissioner Carter.
Yeah, I have a motion to remand it to the long-range planning committee.
I'll second.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Carter and seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to take this to the long-range planning committee. Commissioner Carter, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, I think that Commissioner Chavez was well intended on what he's trying to do. I think there needs to be a little collaboration with the school board and just how we drafted it to make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that discussion, because you said at the offset of offering this resolution that you wanted to put it out here, you want to have some discussion. I think the long range planning committee is just the place for that to take place at, and for us to draft something that we can get our arms around. Thank you.
That's cool.
All right, let's vote. All right. This is the substitute motion of sending it to committee.
Is there a time frame that we just coming back?
As soon as possible.
All right, that motion carries with 12 in
Thank you.
support and none in opposition to remand to the Long Range Planning Committee. And that brings us to the next item, which is to authorize a special resolution for Shirley Simmons Snell.
I'd like to make a motion to englobo in advance 8.12, 8.13, 8.14, 8.15, 8.16, 8.17, 8.18, 8. Yeah, I stop at 8.8.
I'll second.
Been moved by the chair to englobo in advance 8.12 through 8.18.
Mr. President, will you include asking everyone to wear pink on Thursday, something pink on
And
Thursday?
Commissioner Gage Watts wants everybody to wear something pink Thursday.
Thank you.
If you can, if you got it in your closet.
Man, specific effort, I thought it was supposed to be today.
If you need a tie, let me know. I got a couple of them.
Are we voting?
On wearing pink.
All right, that motion carries with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to 8.19, which is to authorize consideration of revisions to the classified personnel policies, rules, and regulations.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Jackson to move this particular resolution to Thursday. No, let's see, what is it? No, authorize consideration of the classified personnel policy, rules, and regulations to Thursday. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
I would just ask that everybody read the changes that Human Resources has made. They brought to committee, and those are what were approved in committee, and just look over them before Thursday.
May I ask a quick question, sir?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins, thanks for your leadership on this. Are you comfortable with the revisions? I've reviewed them, but some of them are pretty, pretty specific to HR issues. Just want to make sure you were comfortable.
Yeah, I think we went specific in certain areas where we needed to,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a good body of work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You want anybody else on the committee?
I don't know who else is on the committee, but I'm happy to hear anyone else's thoughts. If there's
Seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to the next item, which is to authorize consideration of the appointment to the Northwest Louisiana Human Services District Board, authorizing the appointment of Mr. David Hoey, whose resume is attached.
Motion global and advanced 8.20, 8.21, 8.22.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Lazarus. Saying no one, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 12 in support and none in opposition. That brings us to communication committee reports, where the first item is commission remarks. And we also have reports attached from the administrator report, as well as the September financial.
Yeah, I recall it. I already
yeah.
knew you finna hit the button.
Yeah, Dr. Wilson, if you could, you and Erica and Haley, if y'all could leave y'all schedules open, or get with me. I think we're receiving some more, I think a substantial amount of rental assistance based on last week's reallocation.
Right.
And so,
25 million total.
about 25.
When it's all said and done.
I thought there was another
Yeah, so,
tranche coming.
so we may get another allocation from the feds for areas that are not utilizing their revenue.
Right, that's what I'm talking about, that reallocation.
Right.
But
We don't have the exact number.
And I talked
that
to
has been mentioned.
email, I don't know if y'all were copied on that email that came out late Friday with Desiree Honore and Gina Campo. But we're looking at maybe this week or early next week. So if y'all could hold your schedules for that, to talk about what y'all had called me about. I also want to see if we can get Donna Curtis to come down.
Yes. You seen the latest email?
I hadn't seen that one. If we could get her to come down and do some before and after photos of and show publicly what was done. I have to look to see what's the next date for our neighborhood. I think it may be tomorrow, because I know there's the neighborhood association, then there's the park advisory committee.
Yeah, she said the work was done.
Right.
I got an email today.
Right.
You should have gotten it too. You want it?
Okay, and then the vegetation. Has anybody reached out to the city about when the vegetation may be cleared out?
Not yet.
Okay.
Mr. Chris may have. I'm not sure if we did or not. I need to ask Patrick.
Okay. Okay, but
We'll
yeah,
find out.
and if it's possible, if we could get pictures of that or
Yeah,
something
you want
like
to come
that.
on Thursday, work session?
You choose.
Okay.
If you want to put it on the administrative report, if whenever you want to do it, maybe even probably get a platform, take on that project. It's been a long time coming.
Okay.
And then try to engage Dr. Soul. He should have an application coming. I know the NGO process has gone forward, but he should have a NGO application
same
coming
thing?
forward. No, for kind of some long-term, kind of keeping it, some ideas about engaging citizens in that type of work. So I'll forward that over to y'all as well. And then if we could get the band back together on the law school,
Yes.
if we can get the band back together on the law school and reconvene a group on that, not this week or next, just sometime probably before our next meeting, just kind of touch bases with everybody.
You get mail that sent to Friday?
Yeah, I think to everybody, yep. And so yeah, we can just get the group, all those stakeholders, whether in person or online, back together. Because to be honest, when you start talking about spring 2022, that's really up on us now. I saw something where folks were registering. One of the colleges, local colleges, are registering for spring 2022 already. So it'll be here before we know it. So thank y'all for your diligence on a lot of these projects that we approve them and hand them off to y'all and ask you to work on them. So thank you always for your diligence. Thanks, Patrick, you and Katina as well for the work y'all did with the Safe Summer. Do y'all think, I know we were doing departmental updates at one time, but if we could get that project update on the Safe Summer stuff that y'all did, I'd like to see the progress on that, as well as the breast cancer event I don't know if y'all want to do anything to promote the breast cancer basketball game
Yeah, it's gonna be,
that's going on
this Thursday, right?
Saturday.
Thursday we coming, we'll be-
Oh, no, they're sponsoring something Saturday
Oh,
as
something
well,
different.
with breast cancer awareness. So they've been doing a lot of activities out in the community. And so definitely, I think the more we put that out front and let folks know what we're doing. But I really want to say thank y'all. I know Katina enjoys working with that program. And the people that I talk to, they enjoy working with her. So please let her know my thanks. Thank you, thank you.
Commissioner Carter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to address this to Attorney Frazier. We had a conversation a little while back, a couple of weeks ago, and you were putting together the language for the CEAs for the American Rescue Dollars. Where are we at in that process?
We're still working on it.
Okay. All right, so we, another week or so?
No.
Another week or so, or when you think we'll have it?
Probably another month or so.
Say that again?
Probably another month or so.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Because it's my understanding it's not supposed to go out until 2022.
Right, Commissioners, we have notified the agencies that are involved that it would be difficult, even if we got the agreement signed this year, for them to be able to comply with the reporting requirements for 2021. So it would probably be 2022 before, and that way we would also know about our second part of the money.
Okay.
But we will be presenting those budgets back to you all when we present the 2022 budget. So it should carry over to 2022.
Okay.
Given the limited time we have right now, we would not be able to process
Understand.
most of those funds by the end of the year.
Well, as you can imagine, we've got some calls, so.
And so we did send a letter to all the organizations notifying them.
Okay.
Water funds, got a
Okay.
letter from us last week.
And one other thing I want to say, I want to offer condolences to the family of General Colin Powell, great American citizen that leaves a lasting legacy in these United States. So just want to offer condolences to him and a moment of prayer and a moment of silence. Thank you.
Commissioner Evers.
Attorney Frazier, Brother Tim Weaver, Chuck Wilson, and Dr. Wilson. On Saturday, October 16th, 11:40 a.m., I sent an email relative to Testament LLC, 7115 Greenwood Road. Did you all receive that, or you all
Yes,
just
sir,
telling
we
me
got
to
that.
cram it? I
Yeah, we
hadn't
have-
heard anything from anybody acknowledging receipt of it or nothing.
Okay, I'll check to see.
Pardon?
I said, I'll check and see the status on that for you.
Okay. So none of you received that email?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was hoping I could get an acknowledgement
Oh.
that you received. I think I asked for a little deadline of 2:00 p.m. today.
Oh, is that the one today?
Pardon? No, I sent it Saturday at 11:40 a.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just, did you want me to read it now?
No,
or
sir. I have a copy of it.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's,
Because it
you asking the
appears as
questions
though
about?
These people over there are operating with impunity, doing whatever the hell they want.
Yes, sir.
Noise, dust, wash out with trucks, and the neighbors are complaining.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chuck Wilson went out today to do an inspection today. And,
I won't prolong the meeting, just, you know,
Okay.
I didn't know
All
what
right.
he received, I never got
Yes,
a
sir.
response, and I had asked for something by 2:00 p.m. today.
yes, sir. Commissioner Epson, the reason why you didn't get a response, I mean, a lot of the questions had to do with state agencies on your email.
I understand, but
Okay.
at least just say, hey, we
Oh,
got
okay.
it, we're working on it.
Okay, I'm sorry. We got it, sir. We're working on it.
I won't prolong the meeting.
Okay.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a couple things. The Coyote situation and the, I guess you can call it deforestation of that area in Shreveport Country Club. Where are we on that?
Okay. You got a big update for us, Calvin?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Quentin is still trapping. He said he did an aerial surveillance because he hired a trapper that's actually located on Louisiana wildlife trapping. Now, he said he did an area surveillance. They didn't see any activity of any coyotes.
He's only
in that area.
He's only trapped 3 coyotes the last time I understand.
Right,
I
right.
understand
And
there's
he's
a
still
council of them over there.
right. And I get citizens calling in, but he did an area surveillance. He actually walked the property. He has a cam stationed to a tree. Matter of fact, I try to have him come out of here Thursday to the meeting.
That'd be good.
Yes, absolutely.
But we need to know what he's doing because, again, still getting complaints. And I assume that they wouldn't be complaining unless they're seeing some coyotes and stuff over there. So I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'll give you a follow-up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The other thing, Dr. Wilson, as you know, we haven't fully constituted the broadband committee yet, but we've been receiving responses from people who are interested. I did send you all a synopsis of the last meeting that we had today.
Yes, sir. I sent your response back already.
Okay, well, I have to figure out how to look at it on here. But there seemed to be a considerable amount of interest in providing broadband, and which is good. But we do have some timelines that we're looking at, so definitely need to consider that. And Mr. President, I guess from your perspective, I guess we need to try to constitute that committee because we are getting input from different sources. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item.
I need to.
Brings us, well,
Jeff?
did we do the administrative report?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I thought I
you gonna
had
skip-
mentioned earlier it's attached, but y'all
Well-
hadn't had the opportunity to present it.
Hey, no problem at all. Commissioners, this is a brief update on some of the things we track. The emergency housing assistance program is going along just fine. There's currently no backlog on applicants being processed. Usually we do it within a week. And we have sufficient funds to continue the program, and we have more funds on the way. So I think when it's all said and done, Ms. Barnett told me we will more than likely spend about $25 million on that program, helping people in Caddo Parish. So that's a good thing. Also, in juvenile detention, we have 20 kids in the juvenile detention center. 5 of the 20 are 17-year-olds. We have 4 waiting to be transferred to OJJ, and we have 11 children in CCC now, and up about 6 kids from the last time I reported. Also, you should have your financial report for September before you. Commissioner Johnson, we'll have the pre-bid conference for the gateway signs on November 1st. November 1st, and then the bids are due in by the 15th, and maybe 30 days after that, we can start the project. And also, we have no positive exposures to COVID from the last time I reported on the 4th of October, and that's a good thing that we are not having to endure that, and our employees have not been exposed. As of today, we have no exposures to report. So that concludes my report for today.
Next item.
That's going to be the president's report.
I just got one question stemming from Commissioner Carthon to legal. With the American Rescue Plan, the cooperative endeavor agreements that you're doing, and then you're gonna also have the NGOs applications and the economic development, all of those. I mean, are you gonna need help? Because that's a lot. And I know everybody gonna want their money January 1.
It is a lot.
As of right now, Commissioner, I think we can handle it, but should that not change, or should that change, I'll request help.
Okay, so we don't look to see to know people will be getting their money late. They'll be getting it the typical time that they normally get it for the ones that are every year.
Well, here's the thing, the NGO persons, when they receive their money is pretty much dependent on when they send in their reports. That's not a function of our office. they send in a report, then they can get in line to receive their next year funds, because they have to be clear from year to year. And that will also affect some of the ARP recipients, because if they have not been cleared on an outstanding agreement that they have with us for NGOs, they won't be able to get their ARP funds either. Additionally, because we had a minimalized application process for ARP funds, there's going to have to be more detailed information gathered before those agreements can be drafted. So
Do we
coming
have
up
a
with
plan in place for all that? though?
Yes,
That's what I'm asking.
we are working on a plan to streamline all of that and have templates in place to take care of those things.
Okay. I'm just asking, because you got some new organizations in there too, that don't have to give a report because they hadn't.
Well, new organizations are usually taken care of first, for the NGOs, and the ARP organizations, we'll be taking care of those as we get that information in.
Okay, and my second one is, did we determine where the boats lie? Do they lie in Shreveport or do they lie in Caddo Parish? The boat itself, where they gamble at, not the pavilion, but the boat that's sitting in the water.
Commissioner, I'm not really sure if that is actually what would drive the decision-making process as far as the lawmaking is concerned, simply because you can't get to the boat in the river without entering in the city of Shreveport.
But you can go outside the Shreveport city limits to go to the boat too.
We don't have a boat that lies wholly within the parish, or that does not have an entrance
All right,
outside within Caddo
my,
Parish.
my second question to that is, how does one governmental body affect everybody else by loss of revenue by making a vote without the other ones making a vote?
Because they control the interest. That's where the jurisdiction is. That's where if you sue one of the boats, it's going to be brought, depending on the amount of the lawsuit, in the city court of Shreveport, depending on what it's for. And if it's a certain amount, it'll be brought in Caddo Parish. It also determines where those agencies can prosecute. Basically, if they're not being prosecuted correctly, you've got cases that take place, murders and robberies and whatnot, that take place in the city of Shreveport. So that's where that's where their jurisdiction lies. The ability to make the laws lies with the body that governs the jurisdiction where they are going to be prosecuted.
All right. But some of them also take place in that courthouse around the block.
If something goes down in that courthouse,
It's inside the city limits too.
it's gonna be inside of the city limits, and the city of Shreveport is going to write an incident report.
Okay. All right. That's all I got.
Did we lose our citizen?
Yes. There you go. Next
So
item.
that brings us to citizens' comments, late arrivals.
We had one. They gone.
I think.
Move to adjourn.
Second.